What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news right here over on our YouTube page, streaming live for you guys today, especially over on our Facebook page as well. If you're not following us over there, guys, please do yourselves a favor and certainly go ahead and do so, because our Facebook page is where all these news announcements and updates certainly come, and then we just go ahead and certainly highlight and talk about them for the weekend, guys. But thank you very much for certainly joining us on your Sunday, wrapping up your weekend. For some people, maybe starting your weekend off right. But we are here to go ahead and break down the hottest news in geek, nerd, pop culture this week. And it's not just myself, but it's also the full crew is joining us today, guys. Let's go ahead and introduce these lovely gentlemen, as always, coming through. We got Stuart and Indy in the house. What's going on, fellas? Good to see everybody today.
Good to see you. Good to be back.
What's up? I pulled a Stuart and forgot to unmute my mic.
We've definitely all been there, man. This has been a busy weekend. Not only do we have A+ More Phenomenal yesterday, we have A+ Hero Report today, but we also have E3 going on this weekend. Indy's been trying to do his best to keep up with everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, it's I'm multitasking right now. The Xbox panel is actually going right now. So I have an honorable mention in my head, but in the time we go into it, it might change.
I get you. But yeah, if you guys aren't following us, we will be having E3 coverage for you guys. Indy yesterday just went ahead and dropped his Ubisoft panel that they wind up having. So he talked a little bit about games there, and then any other panels that drop today, Indy will in fact be bringing that to you guys on our YouTube channel. So if you're big gamers, if you love getting all those updates, hit that subscribe button, guys, over on our YouTube page, A+ Hero Report. It'll certainly go a long way for you guys. And what's up, Stuart? How are you doing this weekend, man? You getting used to acclimated to your work schedule now?
Oh yeah, definitely starting to kind of get used to it. It's still a little bit challenging with constantly being home at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but hopefully that'll change really soon, like within the next like month or two. But other than that, really good.
Is it just the idea of your theaters closing late and then the drive back home?
Yeah, it's a mixture of the two. Just because, yeah, it's about an hour drive from my house to the theater. Plus, we close the theater down usually at like 12:45 or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Nice. Well, hey, man, listen, talk to your management, see if they have any cool sponsorship programs that we can affiliated programs that we can do for our YouTube channel. I wouldn't mind being teamed. Was it Cinemark, right? Did you work with?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I actually I brought that idea up to them like years ago, and they said that they were already doing something similar where like it was the idea of like Cinemark kind of having their own like YouTube series or something where it's essentially not only keeping up with movie updates, but also movie news and reviews. They claimed that they were already working on that, but I pitched that idea to them like back in 2014. So, I guess either they gave up or they were lying to me because they just didn't care.
Well, I know AMC did that for a while back in the day. I used to watch the show called AMC Movie Talk, and they would do it'd be a daily program that they would drop each and every day and talk about some of the news when it comes to movies and things like that, box office numbers and whatnot. So yeah, I've definitely seen AMC do it before, but I've never seen Cinemark do it. So maybe we could be the first, guys. Maybe we could be the first.
That's why I pitched it to them, because I'm like, hey, AMC's doing this and they're still, technically making more money than us. This might be our way of like trying to even the battlefield. I don't know.
Most definitely. Let's see here. Who do we got in our live chat this week? We got AJ in here coming through. What's up, AJ? Marcelino Vasquez. Thank you very much, Marcelino, for coming through. Gabriel's in the house. Good to see you. He says, hey, Adam and company, how's your week been? Pretty good, man. Just been very work related. Me and the girlfriend actually went out last night to Papa Do's, celebrated our 2-year dating anniversary. So it was a really great time. My wallet was a little bit mad at me, but you know what? We had a fantastic time. The seafood was perfect. Yeah, we had a great evening, and then we kicked it off or wrapped it up with some UFC last night. So it was a good evening, to certainly say the least.
Hey, Izzy got down last night, yo.
Yeah, he had a pretty good performance. The other guy was pretty lackluster. I will say shout out real quick to Brandon Moreno, who went ahead and actually won the UFC flyweight championship yesterday. First Mexican-born UFC champion in all of history. So it was a remarkable performance that he had as of yesterday. Marcus, what's up? Marcus Russell certainly coming through, getting everybody that virtual hug. Thank you very much, man. But yeah, bring it in, bro. Bring it in. But thanks, guys, for certainly joining us today. And listen, if you guys want to participate in today's show, you're always more than welcome to. Feel free to go ahead and throw your thoughts into the live chat as we go through some of our articles this week. If you guys have any live viewer questions that you would certainly like to go ahead and have brought onto the show, just in case if we happen to miss your live, your comment or anything like that, feel free to submit your questions over at any point in time to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com, and we'll get to your live viewer questions towards the end of the show. And just to guarantee that your question does in fact get answered on the air. All right, guys. Other than that, you know how we do around here before we get into our main topics, honorable mentions, things that didn't quite make the cut, but we felt were important enough to go ahead and at least throw your guys' way to make sure that you're up to date on everything. Anybody in particular want to go first in regards to any honorable mentions you might have?
I'll go first.
Do it, bro. Do it.
With it being E3 coverage, I didn't talk about it because y'all already know that I'm hating it. But it's two big things that happened. Gearbox did their whole presentation around the Borderlands movie. We got very little games. They did an interview with Kevin Hart that was very awkward. Randy Pitchford didn't even give Randy Pitchford the high five and go for it. Kevin looks like he signed on to something and didn't really know what it was. He messed up during the interview. So I'm actually interested in the train wreck this movie is going to be. The second thing is something that we saw. One of our admins, Kevin, was really, really happy about. During the Ubisoft press conference, their big wait for this moment was the fact that Ubisoft has an Avatar game coming in 2022. Full open world experience. It kind of makes me think if the game is dropping, that the movie isn't too far away. Because they're going to build off the hype for that. So you can go actually check out the review I did for the Ubisoft. You see part of the trailer. You can see me break it down. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. And this is what can actually make me get into that world rather than just a movie.
What did it have a release date or when it say it was going to be dropping?
It just said 2022.
Okay, that makes sense because I do believe Avatar 2 is supposed to be dropping next year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, the thing has been
hearing that for like 10 years
now.
Yeah,
I mean, it may get bumped again for all we know, but I do believe Avatar is supposed to be dropping in 2022. So that would make sense as to why they're releasing the game, to go ahead and build up that hype, which makes sense too, which I actually kind of approve of, just because it's been so long since we've had the first Avatar movie that you kind of want to get people back in that mindset to be like, hey, remember this franchise we were going to be doing big things with and haven't pulled the trigger on yet 10 years ago? It's back, guys. It's back. So yeah, I think that's a smart idea. I'll have to check out the trailer. I missed it.
Definitely.
Georgette Taylor, mama coming through. She says, you got to be awesome. You guys would be awesome partnering with AMC or Cinemark because you are all awesome. See, Cinemark and AMC, take notice. Take notice. If my mom knows that we're special, we are special. You hear me?
I ain't got nothing with a, hey, give me a free Stubbs pass. I'll go review every movie you have out. And I'll tell them, hey, go to AMC. This is the only place to watch this movie. Just give me a Stubbs pass.
I do need to reactivate my AMC Stubbs program, because now that the movie theaters are open, I mean, I've already gone and seen like 2 movies in the past 3 weeks, so I definitely need to be putting my AMC Stubbs program to work for sure.
That's what's so funny about my location is that we're literally one Cinemark. There's a Cinemark on this side of the road, and then literally across the street there's the AMC Metreon, which I feel like more people probably go to since they have an IMAX theater and we just have the XD theater.
I do like the XD theater too. I don't want to say it's equivalent, but I like the really large screen that they offer. I will say, Cinemark, you do need to up your game on your membership skills though, because AMC Stubbs is incredible. All right, Stuart, you have an honorable mention for us today by any chance? What's up?
We got like the coolest combination you could possibly get for a video game. You got From Software, who has made some of the greatest RPG games, like the Demon Souls series, or the Soul series, I should say, because it includes Demon Souls and Dark Souls. They also did the game Bloodborne. And basically their games are known for being extremely difficult but very rewarding as you play through them. So we got a new one coming out by From Software, and it's called Elden Ring. Best part about this is that it's actually the lore, the world building. It's all written by George R.R. Martin. So you got
Ooh.
probably a match made in heaven, because the designs from Software, one thing they know how to do, they know how to build a world and make it like look very fleshed out. And what's so cool about their storytelling is that there's not really a direct narration. Instead, you're just you're usually thrown into this world, and you kind of have to piece the narration, the story together yourself through like what you see and through what other characters kind of tell you. There's never a direct narration telling you this is what the story is. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like with George R.R. Martin's writing behind it.
I will just ask, is the game ever going to be completed? Because we know it comes to Martin himself. He never finishes the stuff he begins. So I'm kind of, will this game have an ending? You know what I'm saying?
As far as I know, the story is already complete. And
Nice.
and this is what's good about it, is because it's not like a traditional narration story. I feel like George R.R. Martin didn't have to worry too much about it. All he had to do was write the world and then let the story tell itself.
Like a make your own adventure type of thing?
Yeah, kind of, except for not really multiple choice in terms of like where the story can go, more of just, how you interpret the story, I guess you could say. But it looks really cool. I definitely recommend checking out the trailer. It's called Elden Ring, and it looks absolutely amazing.
Well, maybe when the game drops, maybe we can have some of you guys playing some of these on our Twitch stream, because I know you love that stuff, Stuart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
January 21st, 2022. I think it was announced at the last E3 at the Microsoft panel, but it's on all platforms: PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Series X and S. So it's going to be interesting to see if it stays last gen or if it just pushes forward to, the current gen. That's what I'm going to be looking forward to, because watching the video of that trailer and how that game looked, I don't know if it's going to be able to be shown its true value on the last gen systems.
I get you. Well, we'll definitely keep you guys posted for sure as we get further details, as we get closer. You said January, Indy?
January.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
All right. Let's see here. Other honorable mentions for you guys before we go ahead and get into our main topics for the day. We'll kind of breeze through some of these if we can. Jurassic World Dominion, guys, went ahead and actually dropped a brand new poster, I should say. Not a trailer, a poster for what's to come, a little bit of a teaser poster. I don't think this movie is supposed to be out till next year, I believe. I can't remember exactly the release date, but they will be having a preview for it, according to this. If you go and see F9, the newest Fast and the Furious movie, in IMAX, if you go and see Fast 9 in the IMAX, you do get a preview for Jurassic World Dominion. So they did go ahead and release this brand new poster to go ahead and tease that preview that they're going to be having here in the next couple of weeks. So when is
Jurassic Park crossover confirmed?
I mean, they have joked about that and rumored about that for a while, huh?
Yeah.
Man, if I see Vin Diesel on the back of a brontosaurus, dog, it's over with.
He's more of a raptor guy, I think. I
think he's too big. Nah, because you have to have the biggest dude. No, he would not ride the raptor. He would ride the brontosaurus because he's got to sit the highest. He's got to have the old school thing. Remember when brontosauruses were really dope and everybody was into them? You know what I'm saying? That's like that classic old school car. It's going to be Tyrese character who's on the Raptor freaking out because he's on the back.
Yeah,
of the
he
Raptor.
would. You're absolutely right. He would. You're absolutely right. Let's see here. Other honorable mentions for you guys. Indy, you kind of talked about this week. You did go ahead and make a video in regards to it. Luke Fox from Batwoman's getting the opportunity to. It is Luke Fox, right? Luke,
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Luke Fox is going to be donating his costume finally. I know a lot of us were certainly waiting to see it. And the CW delivered and given us some brand new images here of Luke Fox as Batwing, having the costume set for himself and everything. I know, Indy, you're really excited to kind of see exactly what the wings hopefully will certainly look like for him. But I think this is a marvelous presentation. You want to talk about getting people hyped? Like, our video on YouTube has been doing excellent so far, because people have really been clamoring for this character and really been impressed with what they've been seeing so far, costume design wise. So yeah, guys, Luke Fox as Batwing, giving more props and more attention to this presentation than they did poor Jordan Fisher from Impulse. I gotta say, they did a much better job on this one. What do you guys think?
To be honest with you, I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews.
About it, really? Okay.
I love this suit. It's been people saying that the helmet looks like they just spray painted Optimus Prime's head. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of they reused Salvatore's costume and just slimmed it down.
No way.
It's a lot of people saying it's like budget cosplay.
Whatever.
To me, this is a rendered version of what it actually looks in real life. You could tell they use some type of after imaging in what they did, and this is not the exact look that you're gonna have on the show. The leaked footage from the leaked photos from the Canadian site that actually had him in, you know what I'm saying, the top part of the suit, the helmet off, it looked a lot more realistic. This looks like the poster you would have on your wall of a character that's, you know what I'm saying, got the high res photo optic effect on it, you know what I'm saying, to make it pop a little bit. I think it's going to be really good, and I think Batwoman needs help. This Batwoman specifically needs help because she has a hard time solving stuff out in the field. You know what I'm saying? She's still, and
definitely no detective.
And I really think him being one of the originals and stepping up and doing something like this is a long time coming for him, especially with the relationship that he's had with Bruce, the relationship he's had with Kate, the things that his father used to do, the fact that they set it up in season 1 that he is a boxer. You know what I'm saying? It's not like people are worried about, oh, here he comes out and he's going to be a martial arts specialist. No, they've been building him up as a character since day 1. And then we still don't know when the suit's actually going to drop. So they still have the rest of the season to build him up more. So
yeah, I was gonna ask. I was curious if he would be dropping this season. I the Entertainment Weekly thing that I read that I think you talked about was kind of hinting that he was going to have a pretty active role in season 3. So I'm expecting him then, but I would be curious if he gets his debut this season.
I think
he is.
Yeah, he is this season. They said season 2, but I'm hoping it's during the end of the season. Like, you know, like during the last 2 episodes, that's when you get it going. And then going into season 3, they haven't mopped out his character, because let him build this more. Let him struggle with the decision. You can't. Batwoman is doing stuff perfectly that the other shows aren't as far as pacing. Let him deal with his life or death experience. Let him get over that and let that drive him to feel like he needs to be more in this role. Don't just have him drop up and be like, oh, I don't care if I live or die. I'm in a suit. Let's just go. That's not going to work. And the show would just go downhill after that.
Well, I feel like because we're going to get Diggle in tonight's episode, I wouldn't be surprised if like either Diggle encourages him to take up the mantle as the Batwing, or if Diggle gets Argus to build him a suit.
No.
Oh, that would be
cool. Hold up.
Built it for him.
Hold up. Flash. Who just left and went to go work for Argus?
Oh yes, that's right. Or Cisco built him that suit because now Cisco's working with Argus. Yeah.
What if Diggle talks to him and then later in the episode he gets a package from, like, later in the season he gets a package from friggin' Cisco with a suit that Diggle had him make. Do it.
The only thing against that idea is that I feel like the writers for individual shows haven't been communicating with each other as much currently, just because they haven't really been in need of any crossovers. But that said, it is still a possibility, and that I think that would be really cool.
Well, we will definitely see what happens in regards to that for sure. That would be pretty neat. I'm just kind of curious if the writing is competent enough to be able to work that type of magic. But we'll definitely see. A couple other quick honorable mentions for you guys. Marcelino Vasquez in the comics actually requested this one, but we already had this one ready to go for you, Marcelino. But we actually got to see Jensen Ackles finally debuting himself as Soldier Boy for the upcoming The Boys season 3 on Amazon. Jensen Ackles has been working out, man. If you haven't seen some of his workout regimen or some of his videos, he's definitely bulking up. He definitely understands the pain that Stephen Amell certainly had to go through for the superhero gig for sure. But Jensen Ackles certainly looking great as Soldier Boy. He originally at first, at the beginning of the week, teased his shield. And then as the week progressed, they actually went ahead and actually revealed his costume. So what do you guys think of Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy for The Boys season 3? What are you thinking about the costume in general?
I love Dean in anything he does.
Yeah, I'll definitely give him a chance. You know, I'm not familiar with the Soldier Boy character, so I don't know exactly what he looked like so much comic book wise. I feel like maybe just in some of the teases that I've seen, maybe they've muted his colors a little bit more here for the series itself. But I'm eager to see what he looks like. He looks pretty good. Especially that shield.
He had no green in his suit in the comics.
Yeah, I thought he looked like pretty bright, huh?
He was red, bright? White, and blued out in the comics. This looks like he went, "Hey, Steven, you got an extra suit I can use?"
I feel like maybe we're gonna get like an explanation that it used to be red, white, and blue, but then like they decided it was too cheesy, so they changed it to green.
Yeah, maybe if anything, maybe that's maybe when Homelander came on board, maybe they stripped Soldier Boy of his flag and was like, you know what, we got Homelander now, so we're just gonna, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's something along those lines. But we'll definitely see.
Or maybe they'll just say he's a fan of the Green Arrow and he'll be reading Green Arrow comics all the time, and that's the reason he changed his color.
Let's see here. A couple other honorable mentions, 2 more for you guys real quick. We did get ourselves the Masters of the Universe teaser trailer that wind up dropping earlier this week from Kevin Smith himself. We actually did go ahead and do a review over on our YouTube page as well for you guys to certainly check out. But Masters of the Universe Revelation is certainly on their way. It's something that I think a lot of us were really anticipating. You know, Kevin Smith had been hyping it up for the past several months, and we finally got our first official look at it. What did you guys think of Masters of the Universe, Stuart? I'll go with you first, man.
Dude, I thought the trailer looked absolutely fantastic. My only complaint about it is that because it was a teaser, we didn't get to see the number one thing that I was really looking forward to about this, which is the dialogue, just because you got Kevin Smith, and he's been hyping up the dialogue in this show, saying that, you know, during COVID, he had like a lot of time to rewrite a lot of scenes, and he had a lot of time to just really think about fun ways for these characters to interact with each other. So, unfortunately, we didn't get that yet in the trailer, so I'm really excited for when we get that second trailer that'll actually reveal a little bit about what the actual story is going to be. But animation-wise and just the character models in this, they look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he wasn't kidding when he said how great that animation looks. I definitely do get some Castlevania vibes from here, from sure, especially based on the fact that it's coming out of that production studio as well. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, somebody gave me flack in my Masters of the Universe review because I called Orca by mistake. I was like, I couldn't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm like, bro, he's questioning me as a He-Man fan because I couldn't remember Orko's name. I'm like, bro, I was a fan when I was like 6 and 7 years old. Get off my dick.
This is the 80s, bro. This is the 80s. Calm down,
dude. Like, calm the fuck down. Jeez. But yeah, what did you think about it, Indy?
Bro, I am Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin stan. So this could have looked horrible. And I still would have been like, it's the best thing on the planet. But dude, I'm starting to understand why all the She-Ra fans are upset. Like, really, there is a slew of She-Ra fans that are really upset that She-Ra didn't look like this.
I think She-Ra looked awesome for the type of show that it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it needed to look like this. It was funny though that you bring that up, because one of the things that Kevin Smith also recently said is that currently there isn't a plan for this, but he really did like the She-Ra show. So he is actually open currently to the idea of a crossover with She-Ra.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, I don't know why She-Ra fans are complaining. Y'all got like 4 or 5 seasons out of that show. I got to think that's pretty good quality.
And the animation for She-Ra was really good. Like, the character models looked very different than they do in this, but like animation-wise, I think it was pretty similar, like in terms of how fluid it was.
Nah, that I could totally get that. I think they wanted it to be taken more serious. Like that. Animation, the way animation is done sometimes doesn't mean that the show is to be taken serious. Like, if you look at an anime like Seven Deadly Sins, the animation in that show is horrible compared to something like Demon Slayer, but that doesn't take away from the value of the show. To me, Seven Deadly Sins is written better than what the other show is, Demon Slayer. It's just a better story. So don't be mad. You know what I'm saying? What you should be doing is campaigning for She-Ra to make an appearance or like you said, to get the crossover, you should be getting behind Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard and all of them over there that did that, because I don't know what studio did this friggin' show with the animation, but by God, this is
Oh, yeah.
what everything should look like animated. I swear, I feel like I'm in the theater. Like I was sitting at the TV and I feel like I'm watching like one of the Dragon Ball movies or something in the theater, because the animation was actually that clean.
Yeah, it does look pretty clean. It does look pretty clean. So as of right now, I believe July is the month for Masters of the Universe Revelation. It's part 1 that's going to be dropping. So I think we're only going to get like 5 or 6 episodes, I believe, with it. So part 1, and then I do believe part 2 drops later on this year, if I'm not mistaken, also. So Masters of the Universe will be here before you know it, guys, and I'm honestly pumped. And last honorable mention for you guys, real quick, James Wan is in the news today, because we have ourselves a sequel to Aquaman that's going to be dropping, guys. And this past week, James Wan finally revealed to us the title for the sequel of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. As you get to see here, they're in the middle of their production meeting, really starting to work. I'm assuming maybe this is pre-production before that filming actually begins. But yeah, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. You guys want to take any stabs at what the Lost Kingdom is? Is it Atlantis that they're going for, or what do you guys think?
Maybe it takes place in the year 3000, and it's going to be the lost city of Atlanta this time, kind of like in Futurama.
I love it, Stuart. I love it.
I don't know, considering that everything's not connected anymore. It's gotta be. Aren't they already in Atlantis?
Oh yeah, that's why I have no idea what they mean by Lost Kingdom. Because when I think of Lost Kingdoms, I think of Atlantis, and that's already where the show takes place in.
I wonder if is there another place out there that they reference, maybe like where the trench comes from or something like that. Oh yeah, maybe it's like the Lost City of Gold, but it's actually a bigger than what it was in myth type of thing. So maybe that's the Lost Kingdom. I have no idea. But yeah, guys, Aquaman 2 is going to be here before we know it, as pre-production has officially started, and we finally have ourselves an official title for the upcoming Aquaman. I mean, is it the only DC movie that's made $1 billion yet? Have anything else made $1 billion? Is
Joker.
Wonder Woman? Oh, Joker. That's right. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, that's all that cares. You just say Jason Momoa will be there. That's cool. That's cool. That's all they need.
Or maybe Flashpoint messes something up so bad that Atlantis disappears and it becomes the Lost Kingdom.
I mean, who knows?
God damn it, Barry.
Yeah. So maybe we'll blame it on Barry. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for our honorable mentions here today. So thank you very much, guys, for coming through with some great honorable mentions to talk about today. But you know what it is? It's time to get into the nitty gritty, ladies and gentlemen. Are you guys ready to go ahead and get into our main topics today?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, let's do this. All right. First off, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for certainly joining us here again. Our first topic today, we'll stay out of the realm of Marvel and DC. We'll stick into just movies right now and television series for you guys. But listen, one of the biggest trilogies out there, outside of, Star Wars, that's got a few trilogies, outside of the Harry Potter saga that they certainly have, one that just continues to floor people year after year after year is, in fact, Lord of the Rings. One of the best film trilogies certainly out there. I absolutely love Return of the King, even though it is like 3.5 hours long, or maybe even longer with the extended edition. But if you thought Lord of the Rings was done with its sort of theatrical run, especially after the Hobbit trilogies that we wind up getting, yes, Amazon certainly is doing their own live action Lord of the Rings series, but New Line Cinema is not done with the franchise as of yet, as we can actually expect Lord of the Rings to go back to the theaters and not just rehashing the classic trilogy, no, but with a brand new film, and not any film, but an animated film, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Yeah, I found this actually pretty interesting. This comes to us from Deadline.com, letting us know that, Lord of the Rings is coming back to the theaters, and it's going to go anime style, guys. It says the Lord of the Rings goes on anime film titled The War of the Rohirrim in works at New Line Cinema. And here is, in fact, the logo that they've managed to go ahead and put together for us and everything. Looking sharp so far. But it says the Tolkien franchise is headed back to the big screen in a fresh New Line and Warner Animation anime titled Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. I'm told that they're...
I'm going to interrupt for one moment because you mentioned the logo, but nothing popped up. Just so you know, we're not seeing the deadline screen. Nope.
Thank you. There we go. I wonder what happened there. I don't know what happened there. Okay, let me get back to the article. Thank you very much, Stuart. It says, I'm told that the Oscar-winning feature architects Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh are not involved with the projects as we speak, but that will be determined down the road. Oscar-winning Lord of the Rings Return of the King scribe Philippa Boyens will be a consultant on the new project directed by Kenji Kamiyama. The pick is being fast-tracked with animation work done by Sola Entertainment. Voice casting is currently underway as well. It says the movie itself, The War of the Rohirrim, focuses on a character from the book's appendix, the mighty King of Rohan, Hammerhand, and a legendary battle which helped shaped Middle-earth heading into Lord of the Rings. The anime pick will expand the untold story behind the fortress of Helm's Deep, delving into the life and blood-soaked times of Hammerhand. Overall, the movie is a companion piece in New Line's Lord of the Rings trilogy and is set roughly 250 years before the movie during the Third Age. And then, of course, just a side note, Amazon's Lord of the Rings miniseries is during the Second Age. Okay, so even a prequel upon this. So yeah, it says the movie comes in time. The news comes in time when Fellowship is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Damn, I feel old, to be perfectly honest with you. But it says this will be yet another epic portrayal of Tolkien's world that has never been told before. We're honored to partner with much of the incredible talent behind both film trilogies. So yeah, there you go, guys. As of right now, Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh not involved, but that could certainly change. And again, the Oscar-winning writer for Return of the King will in fact be a consultant on this new project as they fast-pace this into production, guys. So I love, first and foremost, man, I love the fact that this has turned into a companion piece, right? Like, I don't want to say it's like necessary watching, but if you've watched the Lord of the Rings, I believe, what was the Battle of Helm's Deep in the Two Towers in the second film, if I'm not mistaken, we get to see the riders of Rohan and everything like that. So the fact that they're going to be delving more into their history 250 years into the past to let us know how Helm's Deep and the gigantic battle that wind up ensuing. I love the idea of having yet another companion piece to just add to the great quality content that we got from Lord of the Rings. I am fascinated as to why this is going to be an animated film and not live action. I personally would love live action if they could, but I do wonder if maybe rights and things like that, since Amazon are now going to be doing their live action thing, I'm wondering if maybe New Line can't do live action right now, so maybe that's why they're deciding to go and do the anime style. But I'll take it. I'll take it regardless. It's brand new Lord of the Rings. They're not rehashing anything. Brand new story. I love the idea of bringing on the consultant because, again, Return of the King is an amazing movie that just swept the Oscars, if I'm not mistaken, during that year. So to have somebody as a consultant that knows this world to help build this world out, and I'm sure some great animation production studio attached to it as well. I think this is going to be something really special, honestly, guys. But let me pass this over to you, Stuart. You hear this news, the War of the Rohirrim. Are you excited to see how this fits into the Lord of the Ring trilogy we have so far?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really curious about how it fits in, and I'm also kind of curious if there's going to be any obviously they're going to take place in two different time periods, so probably not like direct references to each other, but I'm curious how much it's going to tie in with the Amazon show too. And also with this being an anime movie, I'm also very curious if it's going to be like traditional 2D animation or if we're going to go with 3D animation with this. And I'm personally hoping it's going to be 2D animation, only because I feel like, not that I have anything against 3D animation. I think it looks really good too, but it feels like, for most American produced animated movies, it's kind of just become like it's like it'll only be released it'll only get a wide release if it's going to be like a 3D animated film. Like there haven't been that many 2D animated movies that have gotten a wide release. Like I think the only exception I can really think of is My Little Pony, which came out like a few years ago. But besides that, it hasn't been like as common as it used to be. So my fingers are definitely crossed for that. But, I think like Lord of the Rings has had such a great track record when it comes to its animated features in the past. Like the Hobbit movie was really good. And then even like the previous Lord of the Rings films as well. So I'm really excited. I think it returning back to animation is going to be great, especially because we're still getting the live action series. So it's not like we're getting animation as a replacement. So for me, that's really cool that we get to see it through an animation perspective once again.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that the animation pops for sure, especially during the battles for sure. I really would like to get just deep and gritty with it, honestly, and just bloody. Just give it to me, guys. Give it to me. What do you think, Indy? How are you liking this news, man?
To be honest with you, Marcelino hit exactly what I think. Do you think it's animated because it's easy to adapt from the book, since the book might be very short or very long? I think when it comes to live action stuff, having to get the actors, having to write the script, having to find the locations and do everything you need to do are takes a lot of time. And with doing things with a certain art style, whether it's anime, regular animation, or whatever, 3D or 2D, you have a little bit more leeway in creating your vision and how you want things to look. So I'm really interested in what they're going to do with this, especially with the style of anime art we've been seeing with Yusuke just coming out, and how beautiful that was with Studio Mappa has done with Demon Slayer and what it did with the last season of Attack on Titan. I'm very interested in seeing what something like Lord of the Rings could be adapted into with this. Just think about how visceral the battles and stuff could be when they're not limited by modern day special effects or CG animation, when stuff can actually be animated and to look exactly how they want it to look.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point there. Yeah, I'm hoping just because of the fact that it is New Line Cinema, that even though it is fast tracked, they are going to be paying close attention to this and taking very good care of this movie regardless. I do agree with you and Marcelino, Indy, in the sense of maybe animation wise, because you're right. I do think maybe live action would probably take them a little bit longer to actually put out. And I am kind of wondering if maybe they're fast pacing this because they would like this movie to maybe come out before the Amazon series winds up dropping, which I'm not quite sure exactly when that's even supposed to be airing, honestly. I don't know if that's this year or next year or not, but I personally would love to see this anime drop before the live action one winds up actually getting here. But yeah, I mean, animation or live action, I definitely don't think this means New Line Cinema will have the lack of attention that it certainly deserves. I think they've done such a great job with the Lord of the Rings franchise as a whole so far that I definitely do think they're going to bring it when it comes to this this animated film.
February 2022 is what they're shooting for now.
The release date. Okay, yeah, this movie may not come out before then, so we'll see. I don't know what the turnaround time is going to be, but I'm pretty excited for this, guys. I think the idea Stuart, you mentioned the idea. Have we had Lord of the Rings animation before?
Oh yeah, back in the 80s and 90s, like that, there were a bunch of animated films, because you had the Hobbit movie, which is really I really enjoy it. It's a very, very kid friendly, of course, but I really love it, and I love the music that goes with it. Eddie just gave me a weird look. Were you not a fan of the Hobbit?
Nah, it's Marcelino. He said fair point, and the filming location is very complicated since the environment is being polluted in the story, so we need Captain Planet right now.
Always. Yeah, and then of course they also like had the entire trilogy released in like one animated movie, which may sound like it wouldn't work because that's like a lot of story to tell in such a short runtime of like, I believe 90 minutes, but they pulled it off really well. So it's like it's why I found it funny when they made The Hobbit like 3 movies instead of just one. I'm kind of like, in the 90s they made all 3 Lord of the Rings movies one movie. So you're telling me that you can't take the smallest book out of all of them and expand that into just one movie?
Yeah, that's true. But I will say this: it's been what 20 plus years then, almost 30 years then since we've had anything animation when it comes to Lord of the Rings. So I kind of dig the idea. It probably will be a very fresh take, if you will, on the franchise. And I think just based off of where we're at animation wise now these days, yeah, man, we could have something really special on our hands outside of what they did back in the 80s and 90s. So guys, I definitely want to know your thoughts. You hear this Lord of the Rings coming back to the theaters, an animated film, The War of the Rohirrim. You hear this news. How excited are you to certainly get it? 250 years. I'm assuming before the trilogy itself. I'm really excited, guys. So definitely let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we will go ahead and transition over to our next topic. And we'll go ahead and hang out in the world of Netflix a little bit for you guys here today. Stuart, can you do me a favor and check work on those banners for me? Just take that banner down.
Yes.
Next up will in fact be the side of Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. As if you're a big fans of zombies or the living dead coming back or infectious diseases and viruses, we got something for you. Resident Evil live action series is in fact coming from Netflix. We've talked about this before, I believe, on A Plus Hero Report a couple of months back, but this is the first time that we've actually had the entire cast revealed for the upcoming Netflix Resident Evil live action series. Now, don't get that confused with the animated series or the animated film that we're going to be getting here from Resident Evil within the next month or so, if I'm not mistaken. Do you guys recall what the name of the Resident Evil animated film is? I think it might be a series.
There are so many animated Resident Evil movies that I'm actually not sure.
Infinite Darkness. Infinite Darkness is the name of it. They literally just dropped the trailer for Infinite Darkness about 2 days ago, but that's in fact going to be an animated series. But Netflix is also pulling the trigger on a live action series as well, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and introduce you guys to the cast here, so you can see who's going to be on board with this and see if it's a series that you're even interested in. So this comes to us from comingsoon.net. Netflix's live action Resident Evil series reveals the main cast, and here's a photo of everybody. But it says during today's Netflix Geeked Week, Netflix finally announced the main cast for their forthcoming live action series adaptation of Resident Evil, based on Capcom's popular video game franchise. So starting off front and center, guys, John Wick, the John Wick star Lance Reddick is going to be here as well. I most notably known him from his time in Fringe, which I absolutely love that show, but Lance Reddick will in fact be in this. We also have Ella Balinska from Charlie's Angels is going to be in here as well. Adeline Rudolph from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. We also have Tamara Smart, who comes from A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, followed by Sienna Agudong from No Good Nick, and of course Paola Nunez from Bad Boys for Life. They've all been officially tapped to star in the streaming's newest horror series, and they went ahead and revealed this actually over on Twitter for you guys. There's a couple of group photos and things like that of the main cast if you want to check it out for yourself. So it says further details about the female cast characters are still being kept under wrap, but it has been confirmed that Reddick has signed on to portray the villainous head of Umbrella Corporation, Albert Wesker, who was previously portrayed by Jason O'Mara and Sean Roberts in the Mila Jovovich live action Resident Evil films. It says Netflix live action Resident Evil series was greenlight last year for an 8-episode hour-long series order. The project hails from Supernatural executive producer Andrew Dabb, who will be serving as the writer, executive producer, and showrunner. So that's that already has my attention. It says the series will reportedly be set between two timelines featuring the same protagonist. The first one will follow a couple of 14-year-old sisters who have just been moved to New Raccoon City. Soon enough, Jade and Billy Wesker will discover that there is more in the city than meets the eye. And then further it says even their father is concealing some dangerous dark secrets. Meanwhile, the second timeline will follow Jade in her 30s in a future where the T virus has infected plenty of people and animals. She has to do what it takes to survive while the ghosts of the past are still haunting her. So looks like we're going to have an 8-episode, 1-hour-long series, and that's going to be coming from the Supernatural executive producer who's going to be helming this series. And we've got some amazing cast members involved in this. So let me go ahead and throw this over to you first, Indy. You hear this idea of the main cast being finally put together for Resident Evil. Where's your excitement level with this cast and just everything you're hearing about this series so far?
My excitement level for everything Resident Evil that is not game is very high. I feel like the games have gotten away from what made them fun. I'm just waiting on the Resident Evil 4 remaster and I'll be happy. But nah, I'm geeked for this. I'm geeked for the animated series. I'm geeked for this live action. I want more of the world built. The movies are terrible. I want more of what made Resident Evil, and for them to go back and do the lore. I love these castings. I feel like we need fresh faces. I feel like we need fresh characters, and just bring us what we're going to need. Netflix, as far as adapting different things like this, have done very well as of late. They haven't missed on it, so I'm gonna rock with them. Everything from Sabrina, which was actually really good if you get into it, and this, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing that I may not be a fan of is them doing so much of it at one time. With the animated thing going on, with this going on, it might be too much. It's hard to relate to whether if this is canon, what's going on. It's just for casual fans, they might get lost, you know what I'm saying, in the story. But I'm all for it. I'm good. I'm always gonna be geeked for some zombies. You know what I'm saying? Like Back for Blood is one of my most anticipated games. I may get tired of vampires, but I'll never get tired of shooting something in the head that's coming at me trying to eat me.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, I am in agreement with you though in regards to what Netflix is able to do with some of their especially their live action series. I feel like anytime they're adapting stuff into live action series, they usually are pretty good. It's usually the original movies that I kind of worry about. Sometimes it can be kind of hit and miss. Like for instance, I just watched this past week this movie called Awake with Gina Rodriguez. She was actually pretty good in it. The script was pretty weak. So Netflix original movies are kind of hit and miss. But when it comes to adapting something into a live action series, yeah, they usually have their finger on the pulse and know exactly how to pull it off. And for me, at least when I hear this news, I love the fact of knowing that the showrunner or at least one of the executive producers from Supernatural is going to be involved, just because of the fact of just what they've been able to do for so many years. If they're able to bring back that same kind of tone and vibe and atmosphere that they had from Supernatural that lasted as long as it did, I think this is I think this could be great for Netflix. So I'm very trusting in who they have behind the camera. But let me throw this over to you, Stuart. You hear this news of the main cast being put together, a brief synopsis, what we're supposed to be expecting. What's your level of enthusiasm for this, and what do you think about the article?
I'm super hyped. Like, even if this is bad, I'm still going to enjoy it because I tend to enjoy a lot of things that are Resident Evil related, even if they're really bad, such as the terrible movies. I get some pleasure in those movies, even though they are not good movies and I don't necessarily recommend them to anyone. I still kind of have some enjoyment from it. But yeah, now that we're getting kind of like this first live action Resident Evil series that's actually going to be taking itself seriously, I'm really excited to see how that all goes. And plus it looks like one of the main focuses is going to be kind of like how Wesker really becomes involved with Umbrella and how he kind of ends up taking over it. So that's always kind of something that's been interesting concept that I don't think they've ever really explored in the Resident Evil game series. Like, they've always talked about it, but we've never fully gotten to see Wesker taking over Umbrella and then, you know, turning into like just, you know, a mad crazy supervillain. So I would love to see that kind of being explored. And I'm hoping also that we kind of go into the history of Umbrella itself, like not just the company, but also kind of the Ashford family that founded it. And I'm also curious if it's going to tie into any of the newer Resident Evil games as well. Like maybe now that they've in Resident Evil 8, slight spoiler, they've kind of they've kind of reintroduced the origin of Umbrella of what it might have been. So the idea that maybe if they take in mind the lore from that game and they use that into the show, I think that could also be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I will say this, Stuart. The fact that you mentioned you're excited for them to take a more serious look at the franchise or as a series. I'm 100% there with you, man. Because last month, I believe I had mentioned to you guys that me and the girlfriend were doing a little bit of a Resident Evil marathon for ourselves, because there are plenty of Resident Evil movies I hadn't seen outside of like maybe the first one, because I just heard lukewarm things about the rest of the series. Getting the opportunity to go through majority of them, I still have not watched the very last one that they went ahead and showcased, but I got to tell you, man, going down that rabbit hole was rough. It was rough the further you went down these movies. So the fact that I might get the opportunity to see Resident Evil done in a more serious tone and with attention to detail sort of being focused, I'm definitely there for it. And one of the things out of this article that really jumps out at me too, that I'm a big fan of, is the idea of it taking place during two different timelines. I don't know. I find it fascinating, the idea of having to tell a story over maybe a period of a decade, or the back and forth that we might get. I feel like the Green Lantern movie that we're going to get for HBO Max is kind of playing with that element a little bit too, right? A story that's being told through the decades, different timelines for significantly different people. So if they really are going to be juggling maybe the concept of two timelines in here, seeing how maybe something in the past has affected what's taking place in the present, that's really fascinating to me. And of course, Lance Reddick, I'm always going to be a fan of this guy. I feel like the way that he carries himself as a person and like as an actor, is so stoic and, hard to gauge his feelings type of thing, just because of the way that he holds himself. I feel like that's almost perfect for like the Resident Evil world. You know what I mean? Just how we have some really weird and odd and creepy characters, people keeping their secrets. Like when I think of somebody like that, I can easily see Reddick pulling this off really, really well. So I think he's in a great and prime position, and I really hope that this series winds up becoming successful, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I'm also kind of curious, what kind of, because usually if there's two different timelines, there's always going to be like within the last episode or two, there's always going to be some really big twist about the past that plays into the present and has everything kind of make so much more sense in retrospect and has everything go full circle. So I'm really curious on what that big twist is going to be with the Resident Evil movie.
Do you think we're going to get a big twist, Indy? Did I lose him?
My bad. Like I froze for a second. I was talking and wasn't nothing going. I'm like, oh, it was me this time. I mean, yeah.
I thought you got sucked in your E3 again.
Nah, I hadn't even been paying attention to that. Nah, I think I got caught in Marcelano's comment too, because I was looking some stuff up on it. He said, I see a lot of people on YouTube make a lot of pre-thinking since Resident Evil announced and calling it woke. I'm not trying to start any controversy. I just thought I would let you know. So I started looking, and there is a lot. It's a lot of people that feel like the casting, the various cultures is wrong when it comes to Resident Evil, because it's so far away from what Resident Evil 1 really was and stuff like that. And I'm like, come on, man.
But we don't know what the story that they're telling. I mean,
yeah. Look at the world. Look at the world. The only thing that I could possibly be upset about what's going on is I don't believe black people are going to go to where viruses are.
We're out. We're out of there. Yeah, don't have to tell us twice.
What? People can die? Nah, I'm going back to Indiana. Good. I'm good.
We're good.
I don't need this job. It's not that important. That's the only thing I'm against. I feel like the typecasting is wrong. But nah, if you look at the world and the world we live in, you can't throw a rock and not hit somebody of a different culture. I don't care where you're at, unless it's Canada, and even they have Drake. So it's like you can't be mad about that going on. And to be honest with you, some of the best film, cartoons, everything we watch are multicultural events. If you just look at what's our favorite thing to watch right now, what do we watch right now? Loki, right? Loki has some of everything, whether it was little people, whether it was women, whether it was colors, some of everything in episode 1, and it was amazing. Do you think movies and television are going to be that good if we stick to just typecasting individuals? Let's get to letting the actors determine on who gets the roles by the way they act. Period. I could care less about anything else, except if you're playing Barack Obama or Malcolm X. But other than that, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I just, and people just don't know what the full story is. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, some of these characters, yeah, we might be familiar with. Others we may be introduced to for the first time. But I am kind of curious to see what liberties they certainly take with this series. But yeah, I mean, that type of stuff, I just don't get the idea of wanting to stick with the same old all the time. Like, how many iterations of the Resident Evil we're supposed to be getting, whether that be movie wise and still playing the same characters? Like, can I get some new characters? Can you switch around the characters a little bit? Can you change them up, sort of thing? Like, I get the idea that there is a sense of like ownership towards these characters. We know a lot of people who are big Resident Evil fans grew up with certain characters the way that they've known them from the video games, and unfortunately there are some people that aren't able to be flexible enough to look outside of just having those characters sort of represented. So I just feel like going back to the well, doing the same thing with the same characters is just boring at this point. Like, as long as you could be true to the story and to the franchise, tell me something fascinating. I don't care who the main characters are, as long as the performances are going to be great and the story is going to be great. That's all I care about. But again, that's coming from a guy that's not attached to the Resident Evil saga like some people certainly are. But I don't know what else to say.
Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
That's good. You can go.
No, I like Stewart. The whole T-virus thing to me it ends up being a worldwide event, right?
Yeah.
So like, show me more of what's going around in the world instead of just showing me one point of what's happening. Show me how the world is handling this event, and then bring in those characters that I love, like, you know what I'm saying, Claire, Jill, and all that. Bring them in later and show me how they help solve this worldwide problem. I'm going to tell you my issue with Resident Evil is I'm tired of being in Raccoon City. like show me what's happening in New York, show me what's happening in Japan. That's what makes a lot of other shows and stuff more interesting, like the Nevers, like different stuff like that. They're taking us to different places in the world that we wouldn't normally see how things affect, because we're not a part of that culture and we're able to learn and see more. So if you do that, because I'm pretty sure even in the movies, the T-virus like killed the world.
Yeah.
Like, show me how I want to see how kangaroos handle the T-virus. Take me to Australia.
Oh God. That's gotta be like that's gotta be the deadliest. Like, oh my God, a deadly kangaroo like that. I mean, they're already swole as it is. You ever see those kangaroos just jack? Can you imagine a kangaroo with a T-virus? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Chris ain't punching a kangaroo out. Like,
come on, it's the Resident Evil games. They'll still have them punch out a kangaroo. Yeah, no, like that's just funny to me though, because when you first said it, before you explained what they were talking about, I'm like, wait, woke? They don't even know what the freaking story is. And then realizing they were referring to the cast, it's like, I don't think like when they were casting everyone, I don't think they had it in mind. We need someone of this ethnicity to play this character. I think they just went with like an audition for each character and said, you know what, this is the most talented actor for this role, so we want him for this role. And I don't know. It's weird to me that people will get upset about that.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so many other things in the series that you can nitpick and ask requests for. Like Indy, the idea of like, let's get out of Raccoon City. Like, I feel like that's something that I would want to see more than the idea of like worrying about who the cast or, complaining about people being woke and non-woke type of stuff. I mean, doing something fresh, I just think is just so much more important to the franchise as a whole. But I don't know. I try to ignore those people. So it is what it is, though.
Definitely.
But
screw them. Let's enjoy what we're gonna see. You know what I'm saying? just keep it coming, Netflix. You're trying to get my $14.99 back. Come on. Just
back. You don't have Netflix right now?
Huh?
You don't have Netflix right now?
I'm currently not paying for the Netflix.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I'm not paying for my Netflix either.
I get you. All right.
You know,
you're one of those. You're one of those sharers. I get it. Those additional profiles. I get it.
The HBO Max is what I'm paying for right now.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. No, I get you. All right, guys. Well, listen, we want to know your thoughts outside of the wokeness. What did you guys think about the whole Resident Evil live action series? I think the cast looks brilliant. I think they got some really great performers. The storyline itself looks pretty intriguing. I'm going to be here for it. And the kangaroos might be deadly too. So we'll see what happens when we get to that series. But guys, let us know your thoughts on the live action main cast for Resident Evil.
Sorry. Last point I want to make about this Resident Evil show. Something I really hope we see in this show that we haven't gotten in Resident Evil since like the early games. Maybe they kind of brought it back in Resident Evil 7. I want to see actual horror because, you know, as much as I love Resident Evil 4 is my all-time, you know, favorite video game. So I love Resident Evil 4. That said, ever since Resident Evil 4 came out, it felt like any horror that was like there in the earlier games is just gone now until Resident Evil 7 kind of brought it back. So I really hope we get some actual horror in the show.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I mean, I think with just the fact that they have Lance Reddick in there, I mean, just the way that he looks and the way that he holds himself, it's got to have creepy overtones, man. It's got to.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. As they announced the Evil Dead video game.
They did?
Yeah,
a new one.
Yeah.
They're pulling the trigger on a ton of.
That timing was perfect.
They know exactly what they're
doing. Yeah. I'm totally with you on that. They got to get the horror back. Even this Resident Evil that just came out, although they tried the horror aspect, the game ended up being more funny than horror. When you're running around slapping who's supposed to be a scary, like 8 foot tall vampire on the butt with a fly swatter and running and her never being able to catch
That's a mod, though, to be fair. I know, like actually
I know, but it's fun. It's fun. But it nothing about these games feels scary anymore. That stopped with me like at Nemesis.
Well, maybe I'll give Resident Evil a try then, because I stopped playing because it was too scary for me. Like I literally had to play this game in the afternoon, like with the blinds open. You're not catching me playing this at night.
Stay far away from Silent Hill.
Oh, yeah. I played the first one. I played the first one back in the day, but yeah, Silent Hill and Resident Evil are the ones that I played, the originals, and then after that, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Resident Evil 4 is the one I always recommend, and you can get it literally on every single console ever because they're going to keep re-releasing that game like until video games die, because every time there's a new console, it's always followed by a new announcement for another HD re-release of Resident Evil 4.
And when they start giving you triple barrel shotguns called Hydras, that's when it just started getting way too easy. When you start 3-shotting bosses because of the guns and stuff they're giving you, there's no fear in the game when you know you could take everything down.
Oh yeah, well, especially like when you beat Resident Evil 4 and then you get all the nice weapons like the Chicago typewriter with infinite ammo. Oh man, that's so much fun to play with.
The Chicago typewriter. All right. Well, hey guys, listen. I need to play more Resident Evil. But listen, guys, we want to know your thoughts. Let your thoughts be known about this main cast for Resident Evil. Are you excited for the animated series and the live action series? We definitely want to know where you guys are certainly leaning towards. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into our next topic today. We're going to go ahead and dive into the world of Star Wars a little bit, guys. Get your Star Wars geekdom out because we're about to get into it. As we got a couple of updates for you guys in regards to some upcoming Star Wars television series. Right now, the Mandalorian is currently on hiatus. We know that big things are going to be coming when it comes to the book of Boba Fett. And we've got a ton of just other, not only spin-off series, but other Disney Plus Star Wars movies certainly coming our way. And so since it has been quite some time since we've heard anything in regards to the Mandalorian or Boba Fett, we thought we'd go ahead and give you guys some updates because we got a plenty of them. And this actually comes to us from Collider.com. That's got the opportunity to go ahead and sit down with Lucasfilm a little bit and get some insight into when we can expect some of these shows to return. So this is from Collider.com. It says exclusive. Here here's when The Mandalorian Season 3 is filming and new details on the Book of Boba Fett connection. So it says, while trying to get Star Wars Disney news before the studio announces something can be difficult, sources have provided us with some exclusive updates on The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Star Wars' Obi-Wan Kenobi. It says Star Wars fans are going to have to wait a little bit longer for more adventures of The Mandalorian. Upcoming spin-off series Book of Boba Fett has officially wrapped filming and is on schedule for a December premiere on Disney Plus, guys. So which has also been previously confirmed. So the Book of Boba Fett is on schedule to drop this December. It says The Mandalorian, which introduced Tamora Morrison's bounty hunter to the Star Wars franchise, revealed the new spinoff at the end of season 2, and the Book of Boba Fett has been filming in Las Vegas on the same stage as the first series created by Jon Favreau for Disney Plus. So it says the Book of Boba Fett will be a more closely linked spinoff as well. And sources have told us that to kind of think of the series as a Mandalorian season 2.5, if you will, with characters from The Mandalorian slated to appear in the series that currently co-star Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shan. So Fennec Shan will be in the Book of Boba Fett series as well. So you definitely have that to look forward to. However, though, season 3 of The Mandalorian is not currently heading into production. That's because Los Angeles stages are, for the moment, being used for Obi-Wan Kenobi's limited series starring Ewan McGregor we haven't seen since 2005. The show is set 10 years after the events of that film, and production of the series will reportedly take many months. So as of right now, Obi-Wan Kenobi is in filming. We are hearing the plan is for that The Mandalorian season 3 to begin filming at the end of this year or very early 2022, which would mean that the season would not return until late 2022. So it looks like we have maybe another year and a half before we actually get The Mandalorian season 3. It says the delay on The Mandalorian filming timeline is also likely in part to attributing the fact that Pedro Pascal has committed to the TV show The Last of Us, which is slated to start production next month of this year. So it definitely has him pretty busy at the moment, guys. So that's what's going on when it comes to The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So right now it definitely seems as though we've got the Book of Boba Fett that has officially wrapped filming, going to be releasing this December. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi that is now currently filming since the Book of Boba Fett has wrapped, and that will take up most of the soundstage in Los Angeles until that finishes filming, which will more than likely wrap towards the end of December. And it does seem as though or at least it does seem as though The Mandalorian will pick up actually filming once Obi-Wan is done, and it seems either late this year or early 2022. So The Mandalorian season 3 is going to be at least another year and a half away for us. But in the meantime, it seems as though we're definitely still going to be getting Star Wars Disney Plus series, 2 series that I'm very excited about. I mean, had you told me we were going to be getting a Boba Fett series like 2 years ago, I honestly wouldn't have believed you. But the fact of one, how they introduced him in The Mandalorian got me hyped once again. Not even showing Boba Fett necessarily in his prime since he's a much older guy, but at least giving us the idea of seeing just how deadly and dangerous this guy could certainly be is unlike anything I had ever seen before. So I love seeing Boba Fett certainly return in The Mandalorian. So the fact that we're not only getting Boba, but we're also getting Ming-Na Wen as Fennec in here, I'll never get tired of her and anything that she certainly does. Always brilliant. So I'm really eager to see what they wind up doing. And the fact that Obi-Wan is literally right around the corner gets me hyped. I mean, Ewan McGregor was probably one of the best things that came out of that prequel series for me. So to see him get the opportunity to reprise his role, getting to be directed by Deborah Chow, who did a marvelous job in the first season of The Mandalorian, getting to helm that project all for herself. We got 2 back-to-back bangers, I think, coming from Disney Plus, whether that be the spin-off series of Boba or Obi-Wan Kenobi. You want to talk about being able to hold me over until The Mandalorian gets back? Yes, please. I think this is going to do just the thing. And I can't be more excited. And honestly, I love the fact, too, that even though the Mandalorian's not going to be back for a while. I love the fact that everybody's starting to use this brand new stagecraft technology that they have called the Volume. Again, if you guys have not watched the making of the Mandalorian, do yourself a favor and please go ahead and do so, because the stagecraft technology that they've managed to create with this Volume of all these high projected sort of LED screens that kind of add natural light, if you will, being able to add sort of scenery around you really changes the game in regards to what they used to do with like green screen and blue screen stuff for movies and for television. Now these actors, even though they may not necessarily be on location, certainly feel like they are. Granted, they don't have to use too much of their imagination now when it comes to performing. You can literally see things in front of you. So I love the fact that the Mandalorian introduced this, and now we're getting the opportunity to see it utilized in not only Star Wars shows, but also like Marvel television shows and things like that. Like, I think Disney's creating at least 3 or 4 additional volumes sort of around the world, so that when they do go about their filming, they have that sort of accessibility if they certainly need to. So I love the fact that we've got Obi-Wan along with the Book of Boba Fett using that technology, because if you were worried about the quality or what it's going to look like, definitely have no fears. I think when it comes to Star Wars and Disney Plus, they know exactly what they're doing over there, and I'm certainly pumped. So again, sucks that we have to wait a delay for the Mandalorian, but you know what? I think what they're about to dish out with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett will definitely keep us carried over. But you hear some of these updates. Let me go ahead and throw this over to you first, Indy. You hear some of these updates about the Star Wars shows. Book of Boba Fett wrapped, gonna be dropping this December. Obi-Wan now officially filming. Mandalorian late 2022. What are your thoughts, sir?
I'm happy we're getting another Mandalorian. Whether it's technically a season 2 or season 3, because I don't know really how I still don't understand how I feel the Book of Boba Fett is, to me, is always going to be a standalone. It's that spinoff to follow that story, and I'm still waiting on my next season of, you know what I'm saying, The Mandalorian. But the fact that we're getting Star Wars content like this, and to me, the proper way we should be receiving Star Wars content rather than forced trilogies all the time, is exactly how we should do it. I'm excited for all of this. The fact that we're getting Boba Fett this year makes me very, very happy. It just means that more reviews, more time with my guys is going to be really cool.
Most definitely.
The fact that Obi-Wan is filming, yes, thank you very much, because I was scared that show was going to come.
Yeah, they pushed it back a lot. They for sure.
I kept feeling like something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to back out. A director's going to quit. It was just going to be something that was going to keep that show from coming. I'm glad it's finally coming. And I'm just happy that Ming-Na Wen is getting work. She's a timeless wonder. One of my top 3 most beautiful women on the planet.
She doesn't age, I swear.
At all. And you know, she's got the trifecta. You know what I'm saying? She's a Disney princess. She's in the Marvel universe.
Oh, damn, she is.
And she's in the Star Wars universe. So
Yo.
she's got the Disney trifecta. I think she's one of the only actors that has the Disney trifecta. So I'm all for it. I'm excited for this. This is big news for me, and it just shows you that Disney Plus is not going to stop.
No, I mean, you combine that with all the amazing Marvel stuff that they already have, that they're continuing to punch us in the face this year. Like 2021 is the year of Marvel.
Not just that though. They're putting a lot of original content, whether it's the Mighty Ducks, whether it's the Big Shots, whether it's the Raya and the Last Dragon, Soul. They're coming with a lot of stuff to keep us in that subscription for a very low price. Netflix,
get the bundle. Get the bundle.
Get the bundle. They're doing this properly. Netflix, even MODOK was good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's keep it going.
MODOK is Amazon. MODOK is Amazon, isn't it?
No, that's Hulu.
No, Hulu.
Which is
that's Hulu. Okay.
Yeah, owned by
Disney.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm 110% for it, man. Let's go.
What about you, Stuart? You hear this news, the updates for Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan. Where's your hype level at right now?
Through the roof. Sorry. Yeah, no, so like with the Book of Boba, I'm kind of happy that that's coming out first, because that ending that they gave us with the Mandalorian really got me excited, especially just the way his character was written in the Mandalorian was absolutely amazing. I wasn't sure how Boba Fett would really work, because to me, Boba Fett's always been very much a insert character type of thing. And I think that's why a lot of people really like Boba Fett in the original trilogy, even though he doesn't do anything in the original trilogy. It's because he has a cool costume and we don't know that much about him. So a lot of his backstory, we kind of like fill in our head. Now, obviously the prequels answered a lot of those questions about his backstory, about his armor. And, we find out that it's not like a unique armor for him specifically, but at the same time, there was just that kind of a mystery behind all of it, and that's what made his character unique. So with them bringing him back into the Star Wars franchise, but now like being more fleshed out, how that would all work out was definitely like kind of up in the air. I don't think anyone like knew for sure if it was going to work or not, but I think Robert Rodriguez, when he directed that episode with his real debut, I think he freaking nailed it. Not only did he, I feel like what was really smart about the way they used Boba Fett in The Mandalorian is they made him seem like he was, almost more badass than the actual Mandalorian, and somehow even more honorable too in a lot of ways, because he didn't need to help the Mandalorian out at the end of the episode. He could have just, given the Mandalorian a ride somewhere and then just left him. But no, he the fact that he stuck with them the entire time is kind of amazing to me. So it gets me really hyped to really see him now in his own series, especially seeing him now kind of being the kingpin, I guess, if you will, of Tatooine. I'm really excited to see what he does in this new position of his. A lot of things to look forward to about it. And of course, I think the actor is doing, he did an absolutely fantastic job in The Mandalorian. So it's so cool to see him back in that role, for the Book of Boba. And I'm really excited to see how it all goes down.
Yeah, I will say, shout outs to Tamara Morrison for doing an incredible job. I mean, to be able to have to play, Django from the prequels, having to voice all the clones for a while. I mean, this guy's probably had work for quite some time when it comes to in the Star Wars world. And then to be able to tell him like, hey, we need you to come back to portray Boba Fett. I'm sure that was an honor for him to have to be able to do something like that. But I agree with you, Stuart, when you mentioned what Robert Rodriguez wind up doing and reintroducing this character to us. I mean, making it feel like Boba just had this gravitas every time he was just on the screen, just always just grabbing your attention, whether that be performance wise, whether that be just action, just putting the beat down on some of these stormtroopers and things like that, just blew me away. Now, I don't know exactly who's the showrunner for the Book of Boba Fett, but I got to tell you, I'm personally not too sure, but I will say, based off of what Robert Rodriguez was able to do with Boba Fett, I really do hope that they brought him in to be the one to actually either be the showrunner or at least be the main director for this series. But
I believe he is the showrunner.
Oh, okay. Have you read that anywhere though, or?
I remember hearing that he was. It was like an older article, so I'm going to look it up again to make sure I'm not just talking out of my ass. But I do vaguely remember that when they announced the Book of Boba, like a few days later, they said that Robert Rodriguez was going to be the one producing it.
Okay, well, yeah, I definitely hope so, because I mean, just from first impressions alone, I mean, Robert definitely floored me with his perception and his vision of Boba Fett. So I'm really eager to see this come to fruition. And you're right, Stuart. I mean, to be able to end his the last scene that we see of him sitting on Jabba's throne over in Tatooine, to kind of see what that power move is going to be like when we actually get into this series. I'm eager to not only learn to see what the future of Boba is, but I'm kind of curious that we cover a little bit of his past, like what has Homeboy been up to since he escaped the Sarlacc pit and things like that. I would love to learn more about his past, if at all possible, unless maybe the idea is to keep him as mysterious as we possibly can. But what do you guys think? Do you think we'll learn a little bit more about what happened to him previously?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so, because escaping a Sarlacc pit, I feel like we got to get at least like a scene kind of showing how that might have happened. Also, like probably I'd be really interested to see how he ended up losing his armor and how it fell into the hands of that other guy. Or I guess it was first in the hands of the Jawas. But, I'd be curious to see how the armor got from him to the Jawas and him like trying to get his armor back.
I was looking it up. I'm sorry. They don't have anyone listed as a showrunner, but they have Robert Rodriguez listed as executive producer with Jon Favreau.
So maybe that's a lineup then for him being maybe the showrunner for the series. If that's the case, man, I can't wait for the limited series. I truly can't.
It also says he's directing multiple episodes, so
executive producer, directing. I mean, hopefully, I'm sure they'll announce it soon, though.
Well, anything that Jon Favreau, if you have Jon Favreau, Robert Rodriguez, I always can never say Rodriguez, right? Dave Filoni, you know what I'm saying? All executive producing a project, you can't miss. I feel like you shouldn't be able to miss because you have 3 people that could be showrunners, directors, or you know what I'm saying, executive producers all there. The minds that are there, even with Kathleen Kennedy involved, you know what I'm saying, who honestly, after her mishap, has been killing it lately, you know what I'm saying, with hiring and everything like that, that I don't see how they can lose. It don't, to me, it don't matter. As long as one of them 3 are show running, even if they alternate with Robert directing majority of the shows, this might be the best thing we see on television.
I don't know. Mandalorian definitely has a steep competition in the Mandalorian, but I feel like that because of the fact that people are saying this is like season 2.5 of the Mandalorian, I'm sure it'll probably still feel like we're in that world for sure. But I think with the edge that Robert Rodriguez brings, I definitely am expecting probably be a little bit edgier than even the Mandalorian already is.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was also something I loved about his debut is that, before in the Mandalorian, it feels like, most deaths are just like by blaster and they're usually very not violent. And when he shows up, even though there's not really that much blood, the sound effects, though, oh my gosh, are just brutal. And then just the kills that he does on the stormtroopers.
Yeah, dude. When he takes his big his stick and he like smashes it over the head of the stormtrooper, and you just see it this shatter and stuff. Yeah, the violence is just so visceral. I absolutely loved it. So I'm really hoping
we get more of that.
Yeah, I'm hoping they bring that to the new series. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. You hear these updates for Star Wars. Are you bummed that some of the shows you're waiting on are still a little bit of ways away? Are you excited for the idea that Obi-Wan's filming, Boba Fett has wrapped? Definitely go ahead and let us know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below after this stream airs.
And I'm sorry, just to go back before we go on to the whole Resident Evil thing, the majority of people having problems of who they cast as Wesker. They're upset that they're casting Wesker as somebody who's minority when he has been mostly perceived as a Caucasian male.
Oh, well, they just don't know great actors when they see them. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, deal with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who my personal choice would have been for Wesker? I think Idris Elba would have been kind of perfect for the role.
Yes. Yes,
that would have been pretty good too. Yeah.
Yes, we could have ended up with Kevin Hart. Be happy with what we got.
Okay, that would have been terrible. That's where I'm like, okay, I'll say that would have been a terrible choice.
You ain't wrong there. You ain't wrong there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We will transition back into the world of Netflix here, and we actually had a pretty good conversation about this series last week. As unfortunately, the cancellation for Jupiter's Legacy came quick. I mean, it's probably the quickest sort of like premiere cancel I've ever seen on Netflix. But we wanted to go ahead and get into it because there was a lot of speculation, theory certainly going on. Why was the show being canceled? Why was it being, things like that? And them still going on with the Super Crooks, I believe it was that they were referring to. But we finally have maybe some even further insight into regards to maybe why Jupiter's Legacy didn't quite meet up to its expectations. And it may not necessarily have been all of its fault. So let's go ahead and get into this article, guys. This actually comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter. So again, for those of you who were big fans of Jupiter's Legacy and are bummed that it's gone, or maybe you're just curious as to what the F happened, let's go ahead and get into this because it does say Jupiter's Legacy battles over budgets, executive purge factor in Cancellation. No, not the forever purge, but the executive purge factor in the cancellation of this series. So let's go ahead and break this down. So it says Jupiter's Legacy hit Netflix on May 7th to great expectations. The show, which adapted a regarded comic book by Mark Millar, was the first project to emerge from Netflix's 2017 acquisition of Millar's publishing line, Millar World. Unlike most of Millar's work, the superhero comic with the story that spans decades and prequel titles had a deeper character bench from which to draw, and Netflix saw it as a way to further its own universe building ambitions to complete with Disney IP heavyweights Marvel and Star Wars, and it was to be the cornerstone of its Millar World ambitions. On June 2nd, however, Jupiter was no more, with the streamer informing the cast that they were being let go as the series garnered a less than stellar 38% critic score on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. The show, however, seemed to be a victim of several factors, some of its own making, some not, and illustrates the birthing pains of building from a highly publicized acquisition. It says the series was plagued with issues from the start, with then showrunner Stephen DeKnight, most notably known from Daredevil. It says initially asking Netflix for a budget of at least $12 million per episode, according to sources. The streamer, however, backed them down to under $9 million. It wasn't long into shooting that the show found itself over budget and running behind, with DeKnight never one to shy away from speaking his mind, according to people who worked with him, clashing with Netflix over creative differences. The production was shut down about halfway through its 8-episode shoot, and then DeKnight was replaced by Sang-Kyu Kim, who then had to retool the first batch of episodes. The issues didn't start there, though. Even after wrapping production, the show spent an amount of 2020 in post-production. It says Louis Lederer, the filmmaker behind Dark Crystal and the Lupin series, was brought in the 11th hour as a consultant, according to the sources, but the move was too late to save the troubled show. With the episodes now reaching above even what DeKnight originally asked for, show insiders say that he was proven right in some respects. He goes on to say, this is the producer says, Marvel shows are 15 to 20 million per episode. If you're going to make a big superhero show, you need to at least use that much. So that's just one of the things, guys, that they certainly had to deal with. You hear some of these factors already, having issues with the budget, clearly wanting to put less money towards it. Steve DeKnight wanting more money, him leaving in the middle of the 8-episode shoot and being replaced. And then, just mayhem continues to ensue. So that's just one of the aspects that certainly happened. Indy, let me go ahead and throw this over to you, because I know that you didn't mind the series for certainly what it was, but now that you hear a little bit more into it, what are your thoughts hearing some of this stuff?
Man, BS. That's their excuse for not wanting to move on with a show that cost a lot. To be honest with you, it was a very, very well done show. The story was very well done. That only issue they might have had was sticking a little bit too long on the backstory of how they got their powers. They could have took a note from the CW and got that done in 2 episodes. It took literally half the season for you to see how they got their powers, and that was a little bit nauseating, how slowly that moved. But they could have better actors too, man. Josh Duhamel just didn't do it for me in the role that he had. I feel
and
like
I do like him too as an actor.
I love Josh Duhamel as an actor. This just wasn't the role for him with this. He just wasn't convincing in that character, and everybody around him was out acting him. And you could tell by like miles. But other than that, the Jupiter's Legacy was one of those things where it could have been a huge success, or as we see, a major flop. And I really don't feel that it flopped because of people not getting into the show. I really feel like it flopped because there's a lot of superhero content that it is up against that people are watching. And all at one time, you can't watch and view everything. and then it's up against friggin' WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, what is still going up against Loki right now, plus the Nevers, the boys, the Umbrella Academies. It's just so much other stuff to watch that why would you watch the lesser of one of those things? If it was one of them where it was standing alone by itself, it would have stood out. But it is the lesser of every superhero thing going on, and it just feels too much like another Justice League ripoff, which the comic actually was. It was ripoff of other superheroes because that's what we do. The Boys is a ripoff of, you know what I'm saying, a mockery of what happens when if the Justice League got out of control. But it wasn't done well enough in order to keep the casual fan interested. I was interested because I followed, you know what I'm saying, the history and stuff of what was going on. I wanted to see it visualized, and for me, it satisfied me. But for the casual fan, there wasn't enough meat on the bone.
You know, I will say it does surprise me here that Netflix isn't willing to have put more money towards the series. Based off of just some of the spending habits that I feel like when it comes to Netflix, how much they put forward for new content, right? I mean, you put all that money towards acquiring, you know, Miller World. I would think that if you're acquiring that because you know the potential that it has to be your next sort of Marvel IP-esque on your streaming service, why wouldn't you give Steve DeKnight more money than you anticipated, right? The idea of, if you know Marvel is dishing out 15 to 20 million per episode, you can't give a homeboy $12 million. Like you just gave Ryan Johnson $400+ million for his sequels for Knives Out. So I guess for me, I'm surprised just because of the fact that I'm so used to seeing Netflix spend an absurd amount of money, that the fact that, you know, 9 million to 12 million is rough for you. I'm just like, man, it's rough.
I can feel what Stuart is like. He's sending me his thoughts in his head.
Mind melding.
Gave Ryan Johnson money for sequels of something that was already successful.
Right, but I mean, I get that, but I'm also saying it's not just Ryan Johnson. You guys know how much money Netflix spends on brand new IP.
But they were already losing money on this IP. That's the problem.
I was going to say Netflix has, you know, even though their shows look very high budget and high quality, they've never spent like that much. Like they don't usually spend like Disney Plus money on their shows, with a few exceptions, only with the exceptions of like the shows that require really big actors like House of Cards, or there was like another historical drama. I can't remember the name of it. But for the most part, like $9 million an episode for a superhero show seems very reasonable if you know how to manage it, because that's what they got with the Marvel Netflix shows, and the way they got around the small budget, which is the way I think Stargirl has done it. And Stargirl, I think, did an amazing job, which had less than 9 million an episode. What you do is you manage the budget by having some episodes where you use a lot of money for some great fight scenes, and then you have like 2 or 3 episodes that are very character driven. You don't have them suit up too much. You don't have them using their powers too often. And when you do, you find a cheap way to film it. That way you can use, that way not only does it make your action scenes that much more spectacular when you do get to them, but it also makes the impact of the action scenes that much more meaningful, because, hey, we haven't had an episode with that much action the past few times. Oh, now we get one with action, and it's incredible on top of that. So you got great buildup, you got great execution. Now, I haven't seen Jupiter's Legacy, so I don't know like how it's actually structured. But what I'm getting at is, I don't think budget is a good excuse for, you know, why your show didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. I think that if you have a talented enough writing team, you can find ways around that, as evidenced by Daredevil and, you know, Stargirl and plenty of other superhero shows out there that isn't the ones that are on Disney Plus.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
They did a lot with a low budget.
But I am curious again. this is the guy that did make Daredevil a hit for you guys on Netflix. I guess for me, my thing is you have a relationship with this man and Stephen DeKnight to, I would think, trust him in knowing that he's doing. If the man that showrunned Daredevil for 3 seasons knows how much money that he needs and he made a successful hit for you guys, why can't you give him the money that he needs when you're used to spending absorbent amounts of money anyway, sort of thing? I get what you're saying, Indy, and you too, Stuart. But I think for me, the idea is you're already losing money on it. Put more money towards it. If you really need to go ahead and garnish that money back and make it an improvement to where it can stand up to the likes of like a Marvel and DC. But I get what you're saying too also, Stuart. You can't use budget as an excuse. My thing is, as long as the storytelling is there, but again, this is a guy that you've had as a trusted advisor on your Netflix series before that has made hits for you. I would think that relationship would garnish this guy to get the money that he knows that he needs for the show. You know what I mean? So it
or at least
does,
somewhere in the middle.
Or somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But you're right. It's not just budget, though. It's never just budget. There are always other things, too. Let's go a little bit further into this article also, because it does say it is unclear in what the range of the final budget landed. It says Netflix Insider pegged it to be close to 130 million for this season, but with the cost of shutting down production and the long post time, several sources peg it upwards of $200 million. It says to compound problems, though, Netflix also then underwent an executive shuffle that saw Jupiter's greenlighter, the vice president of original content, Cindy Holland, and its 2 original executive overseers exited the company. It says Holland was replaced last fall by a veteran and somebody else, and who took up the mantle as the head of global TV. As is the norm with many of these shuffles, any project not a part of an incoming executive's portfolio will be scrutinized. It says unless the show is an undisputed hit, it's going to fall under that particular microscope. It says when Jupiter's Legacy was canceled, some observers presumed bad metrics were the cause, but the day after the cancellation, Nielsen showed that Jupiter topped its streaming chart, generating 696 million minutes of view time in the week of May 3rd through the 9th, which topped even Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale and things like that. It says, and Jupiter was for a while the fixture on Netflix's own public top 10 chart, visible to subscribers, although its metrics are vague. It is and it is not clear if it's measurable fully watched episodes or smaller samples and things like that. So yeah, guys, a ton of stuff. It looks like switching of executives. Yeah, Steve DeKnight left in the middle of the series. They had to re-up their showrunner with somebody else that went back and had to redo the first group of episodes. So I kind of curious, just knowing all this stuff, guys, if even what we got was anything Steve DeKnight related, or if they literally switched it up and we have a different show than what we were even supposed to even get. Do you guys think that's a possibility?
I think as closely as probably as the only one who fully watched the show. I feel like the storyline
feel like 2 separate.
It didn't. It felt like one show going forth. So I feel like everything was, went like it was supposed to go. But when it comes to, I just think it was writing on the wall when it went to it. Even like you said with the Daredevil thing and being trusted, Daredevil is still a known property. I don't think Jupiter Legacy is as well known as, other things. Like, think about it.
True.
Back in the day, Invincible wouldn't have got the light of day, right? But because remember, Invincible came out before The Walking Dead. That was one of his first books that he wrote. But because of the success of The Walking Dead, Invincible had a spark of popularity, and he was able to, greenlight the show and to do it well just off of the success of his other show. Because if I could tell you this right now, if Jupiter Legacy took place in the Marvel universe, they would have had no issues.
Almost definitely, yeah.
They would have had no issues at all. If it was even a Marvel book at one time where Marvel published it and then it went independent, it would have had no issues. Because this was a book that wasn't well known by a casual fan, it was something just totally new. that's where they hit their problem at, is because you're trying to introduce something new like it's not. And I think that's the issue that they had. He wanted franchise money for a franchise nobody knew.
And I think another factor on this too is that Netflix is probably right now putting like all their money into Sandman currently. And I feel like one thing they were afraid to do if they kept Jupiter's Legacy going is that they would give their own like subscribers comic book fatigue. So therefore, by the time Sandman, which is the show that I feel like they're probably putting a lot more money into than they did with Jupiter's Legacy. Yeah, I feel like they want people to watch that show way more than they want people to watch Jupiter's Legacy. So I feel like that's kind of the main. I mean, I think everything that we mentioned before in the article is also a huge factor too. But I think the main factor, the biggest one, is that Netflix is so invested in Sandman and they don't want to risk Jupiter's Legacy tiring people out before the show even premieres.
If you're Netflix, do you pull the trigger on Super Crooks then?
No. Because I don't pull the trigger on Super Crooks because that is so far left field. It's so different than what you have on the channel right now, on the streaming service right now, that I don't think it hurts anything you could do. And if you could do it on a set budget, you have no issue. But like Stuart says, Sandman is the thing that's going to run their money up, because Sandman could be horrible and it's still going to be the most watched thing on Netflix when it drops. So
I mean, visually it looks stunning just from what I saw from the Sandman.
I'm just saying it could be absolutely horrible, and everybody will be there first night to watch it. They'll binge the whole thing and then watch it again just to break down why it was bad. You're not going to get something like that from Jupiter's Legacy. And I'm sorry that people aren't, because I really feel like it was something really there to explore, especially with another season, with the way this one was written and the way it was presented. But now Super Crooks would actually be very interesting, because that's something that they did not live with a lot in this show, were the villains. Like most of the conflict happened between the heroes themselves. You didn't get too many like, oh my God, this is the big villain we're going up against. No, because all the conflict was between the heroes.
Well, maybe Super Crooks can be the series that injects that fuel back into Malar world and gets people invested in that world again. But we'll definitely have to see. But guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts. You hear more stuff finally coming out in regards to Jupiter Legacy's cancellation. Is it all starting to make sense to you now that you kind of watched the series itself? Can you see just some of the mishaps unfolding backstage, making its way onto the screen itself? Do you think that some of the reasons are compounded to causes problems? We definitely want to go ahead and know your guys' thoughts now that you know the truth behind its cancellation, guys. But we'll definitely see what happens there. All right, guys, we've got two more topics that we're going to go ahead and dive into before we get to your guys' live viewer questions. But we will start transitioning over to some DCEU, baby, as we've got some updates for some upcoming films that we can certainly look forward to. So let's go ahead and dive into these, guys. The next topic that we're going to get into today is going to come from the world of DC. And it seems as though the world of the Bat family is potentially going to continue to grow. Not only do we have Robert Pattinson's The Batman that's set to go ahead and be released by Matt Reeves, but we also have a Batgirl movie that's going to be over on HBO Max to certainly be released. But there was also another Bat-esque flick that had gotten mentioned sometime last year that we haven't heard too much about or any movement, but it seems as though it's still a possibility. And that comes to us in the form of Nightwing, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Dick Grayson potentially getting his own Nightwing movie. We did get some further insight into this, and this comes to us from Cineblend.com, as the Nightwing director lets us know that he's excited. He has an exciting update for Dick Grayson that fans will in fact love. So it says DC Comics film slate has been a mystery for a handful of years. They were announced feature films and then hopes for a continuation of Zack Snyder's interpretation of source materials. Some of those proposed movies, like Blue Beetle are now headed to HBO Max. Others were presumed dead, sort of lost in the shuffle of development hell, never to be heard of again. It is in that column that I had dragged Nightwing, a film once attached to the Lego Batman movie director Chris McKay. But when he came on Cineblend's official Real Blend podcast, he confirmed that Nightwing is still on the table at Warner Brothers and DC, and he hopes to begin working on it soon. So this is what Chris McKay wind up telling him. He says, I hope it's still a reality. I hope that we still get to make that movie. As far as I'm concerned, it's not lost yet. It is obviously something that they've had other priorities. They've had other challenges. They've had things that they needed to do, and I think they found their way. I think their recent successes and the stuff that they're planning on doing now, I think it opens a door for us to still be able to do a Nightwing movie. Whether you call it in an alternate universe or you pick in their multiverse version, which universe it's part of, there are different ways into it. But Nightwing is a big action-packed emotional movie. It may not budgetarily be similar to what we do with the Tomorrow War, but from a scope and scale standpoint, as far as the kind of action and kind of heart, that's what Nightwing is going to be all about. So it does say here, it says, while I'm not able to comment on the Tomorrow War just yet, it's still under embargo, but I can tell you that the news that Chris McKay is still interested in directing a Nightwing movie, and that he thinks that the recent moves that Warner Brothers have made suggest that it's actually more than possible, help me believe that this film is back on the table. And after umpteen Batman adaptions, including other soft reboots, including the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson stuff, I think a detour into Bloodhaven is exactly what the Bat family needs, ladies and gentlemen. So it seems as though Chris McKay, the director of the potential Nightwing movie, still believes that there's an opportunity here. And I really hope that there really is. You know, I feel like we've talked about this before, about how big the Batman universe is and how many characters that they've created over the years, that Batman's universe could really be its own cinematic universe if they really wanted to. I just feel like there are a ton of characters that can certainly still be explored. So with announcements like a Batgirl movie certainly coming to HBO Max, that really gets me fascinated, because I don't know if that's going to be another spinoff of out of the Robert Pattinson stuff, or if Batgirl's going to be its own sort of thing. I do think that there's plenty of room out there to continue along with this Bat family, and a part of me is kind of hoping that if Nightwing does see the light of day, maybe there is some connective tissue between Nightwing along with the Batgirl movie. Maybe they want to go ahead and introduce us to Barbara Gordon before we get introduced to Dick Grayson, considering just the connection that these two have had over the years in the comic books, the relationships, the friendships, and things like that. So I think Nightwing certainly would make for a great film. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a movie that also, like Batgirl, gets moved over to HBO Max. But at this point, I'm not ready to call any DC or Warner Brothers property dead, just because of the fact that they do have that outlet in HBO Max. I believe they talked about this previously. I think Walter Hamada might have said it a few last year, maybe at DC Fandom or around that time, that because they have HBO Max, I think they're planning on at least releasing 4 DC movies a year in theaters, and the more riskier stuff that they would be doing, I think 2 maybe movies a year made available over on HBO Max. So I think the room is there for a Nightwing movie. And I think if you're going to introduce somebody like Batgirl to HBO Max, why not Nightwing as well, and just continue to build up sort of that connective tissue and universe over on that streaming service. But that's just me. But I'm eager to see that Chris McKay is still hoping for this. Let me throw this over to you, Stuart. Do you think that there's room for a Nightwing movie? Do you want a Nightwing movie? I don't know if anybody's really asking for one, but do you think in the day and age of theatrical releases or streaming release, do you think a Nightwing movie is still possible? What are your thoughts on this article?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing really holding this movie back from, you know, being confirmed or being like greenlit right off the bat, it's just the fact that we have a Nightwing already on Titans. But, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having another Nightwing. You know, I mean, we have how many different versions of Batman that are going to be like, you know, in theaters, and not to mention the versions that we currently have on both Titans and Batwoman. So I don't see why we can't have more than one Nightwing and give him his own standalone movie. Nightwing, I say this though because Nightwing is like my personal all-time favorite superhero, and I've been wanting a either Nightwing or Robin movie, you know, for the longest time. And I think that, yeah, with Robert Pattinson's Batman coming out, and like you said, the Bat family is so extensive that you could practically make an entire cinematic universe just around the Bat family. I think Nightwing is one of the most perfect superheroes you could use for a spinoff of that. And, you know, the best part about that is that, you know, with there already being a Batgirl movie in development too, you know, it gives you that cool, like, kind of connective tissue, especially if you decide you want to go in a direction where maybe Batgirl and Nightwing used to date, or maybe they're still currently dating, so you can get both superheroes in each other's movies, that kind of a thing. I feel like marketing wise, it's too good of an opportunity for DC to not do. And yeah, I feel like people have been wanting a Nightwing movie for the longest time as well, because, you know, Robin's always been such a popular character, but I feel like more people now know the original Robin as Nightwing now, because he's been I feel like I haven't done the math on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out he's been Nightwing now longer than he's been Robin. I'm not 100% sure about that fact, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he probably has at this point. I mean, when did he turn into Nightwing? Back in like the late 80s?
80s, right? Yeah.
So yeah, he's been around for quite some time now as Nightwing. I feel like most people probably recognize Dick Grayson. I mean, I'm sure people, when it comes to Dick Grayson, they still refer to him as Robin and as Nightwing, but most importantly as Nightwing. I feel like I've been hearing a lot of people's favorite Robin these days is Tim Drake. Like, he's been going down as like the best Robin these days. Is that true? Anybody know?
I mean, he's probably my favorite Robin, but
right now.
That said, Nightwing is still my favorite character, though. So
are you reading the current Nightwing comics at all, Stuart? Because the only reason why I ask is they have a huge involvement of Barbara Gordon in there right now. Him teaming up, Alfred wind up like passing on a couple, was $1 billion indie or something like that. I mean, the guy's a millionaire at this point right now. Nightwing is, thanks to Alfred. So it's pretty interesting seeing how Dick Grayson deciding not only to use the money that he certainly has now that he's a rich man himself, but also just his interactions with Barbara Gordon. If you're giving me a Batgirl movie, please give me a Nightwing one also. Indy, you hear this news that Chris McKay, the director that's been attached to Nightwing, still believes that the movie has life in it. Do you think he's correct? Do you think we'll see a Nightwing movie? And what are your thoughts in regards to it?
I have no idea when it comes to anything that Warner Brothers or DC is going to do. It's to the point now with me, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I'm enjoying the stories that are being told right now on television with Dick Grayson. So I'm always for seeing him on the big screen, but I don't trust it to be done properly, I'm guessing. So I'm not too much excited for it. It's one of them things where if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I really couldn't even tell you. I'm reading this. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But can I get a release date? You know what I'm saying? Can I get a script? Can I get something? So I don't want myself getting too excited about something that may not happen.
And that's a good point too, because I feel like that's something DC's been doing a lot of recently, is they've been making so many announcements only for those announcements to later be dropped. Like I think a lot of people, for example, were really excited about the New Gods movie, and now finding out that that's no longer going forward. You know, I think because of that, you know, like Indy said, I think a lot of DC fans are really afraid to get their hopes up. And I don't think it helps that they have like another merger that just happened with Warner Brothers and Discovery, because usually mergers means like a whole nother change in management. So so there is that worry I have about why I don't think it'll happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, because DC is infamous for releasing a huge slate only to realize, but time out, guys, we got to go back and change that slate, by the way. And they wind up having a whole new one that we just saw just recently as to all the projects that they certainly have in store. So you guys are right, especially with new management coming in. You know, how, you know, will they keep some of these releases on the books? Will management decide, you know, maybe we should go and tackle some other characters, if you will? You know, maybe some characters we thought were coming to the theaters are now going to be going straight to HBO Max because they find them more riskier than others. But we'll definitely say, I will say this, Indy, you know, in regards to will they do the movie right? If there is anybody that I do trust to do it right, it probably is Chris McKay. I just feel like, just based off of some of the articles and interviews that I've seen him do in the past when this was originally announced, and just seeing his insight into the Bat world along with his understanding of Dick Grayson and Nightwing, I do think that it's at least going to be helmed by somebody that's at least knows this character. So I do think in that regards, he'll probably do his just due for the character. But I get the fears as to whether or not Warner Brothers will just, you know, are you going to get too involved? Are you going to cause problems, right? Are you going to make the production difficult? You know, who certainly knows. But it is a movie that I personally would love to see, whether it's HBO Max or theaters. I do think I would not mind exploring other Bat characters outside of Batman on the big screen or the small screen in some way.
And plus, everybody knows that DW is the best Robin.
Oh, I was like Darkwing Duck, but I get what you mean, Damian Wayne. Yeah. Let's get dangerous, y'all. All right,
I mean, for me, Damian Wayne, it always depends on who's writing him, because there are some comics that make me feel sorry for him and make me go, oh man, he is redeemable and that kind of a thing, and I love him. But then there's other writers where he'll be talking and I'm like, I want to punch you in the face right now. and I know I shouldn't say that because Damian's like 12 in the comics, but man,
it's okay because he would. Yeah, he would punch you. He would punch you, Stuart. So it's okay.
Yeah, he would kill you.
Yeah, so it's okay to fight back, Stuart. But yeah, he actually does have a brand new comic book too. A new Robin series has been released for Damian Wayne. I have the second issue. I missed out on the first one, so I might have to Comixology that one to go ahead and get caught up. But some of the brief teases that I read for it in like the Infinite Frontier or whatever the case may be kind of got me hyped for what we could potentially get for a Damian Wayne Robin series. So I'm eager for it. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. Do you think the world's big enough for a Nightwing movie? We've got Batgirl. Would you like to see Nightwing also, whether that be a streaming service or in theaters? Definitely would love to know your thoughts in regards to seeing Dick Grayson brought back to the movie theaters for sure. All right. And guys, with that topic out of the way, we've got one more, and we saved the best for last, especially for Indy here, because we absolutely know his love for the character Zatanna, ladies and gentlemen. Emerald Fennell, who just wind up coming out of the Oscars with a new award to put on her mantle for best original screenplay for, I believe, was the movie Promising Young Woman. Emerald Fennell has in fact been tapped to go ahead and be the writer for the upcoming Zatanna movie that's going to be on HBO Max as well. And she recently came out this week and spoke with Empire Magazine, teasing us as to what we could potentially be getting from the Zatanna movie. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see how much of a happy man this makes Indy. So let's go ahead and pull this up. Empire.com. It says Emerald Fennell wants to make something really quite dark with DC's Zatanna. This was from the British New Wave issue of Empire. It says, is there anything Emerald Fennell can't do? The former Killing Eve showrunner, Call the Midwife, and the Crown star, Oscar-winning writer and director extraordinaire of Promising Young Woman, is on something of a roll and is showing no sign of slowing down. The next target on her unstoppable course? Why, one of the most powerful sorceresses in the DC universe, Zatanna, of course. How fitting. It says, let's see here. It says Fennell, one of the 4 cover stars of Empire's British New Wave issue, opened up about the early stages of her screenwriting process for the new project, seemingly a million miles away from what she's done so far, but actually a pretty logical next step when considering the kind of woman she's always been fascinated by. There's a lot of things about her that I felt like they could... Hold on. She says, there's a lot of things about her that felt like they could be really, really interesting, is what she tells Empire in the new issue. And it'll be an opportunity to make something really quite dark. And that appealed to me, to make something big and scary. I love that stuff. She goes on to say, says, there's certainly darkness in Promising Young Woman and Killing Eve, but Zatanna is in a league of its own. She says the scale of these movies is so massive and so thrilling. Like, why wouldn't you want to write something like that when you can write huge, massive, crazy sequences and fights? Normally, you're like, how can I show this in the smallest, cheapest way possible? But to have complete freedom to really let your imagination run wild is such a joy. So yeah, Emerald Fennell is excited to tackle the idea of a big budget film that lets her really create a whole huge world, massive, create crazy sequences and fights. And she's really looking to try and bring something big and scary and really quite dark to Zatanna. So honestly, after watching her in what she was able to do, one of the reasons why she won an Oscar for Promising Young Woman, there definitely was a hint of darkness and comedy kind of all combined into one. It was a really weird tone and vibe that I was getting from the movie, but one that I was really eerily digging. I just couldn't tell what it was, but I really loved just her perception of what she was able to do in that movie. And I think if she can take sort of that twisted, sort of dark, even humor of hers, if you will, and like inject it into a Zatanna movie, especially if she's going to really nail down who Zatanna is as a character, maybe in this sort of dark, magical world. I think she's probably the woman for the job for this. So I really love where her head is at. I love her enthusiasm for now having a big budget that she can do some crazy, outlandish things with. But I'm really eager to see what she's going to be able to do with this movie. But Indy, as the big Zatanna fan here, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to check out Emerald Fennell's Promising Young Woman, which I would recommend to anybody certainly check out. But you hear her excitement for it, what she wants to go ahead and tackle when it comes to Zatanna. What do you think about it?
I don't want this to happen. I'm 100%, 120% for this. She is amazing. She is amazing. And I really feel like this would be the perfect person to make something with Zatanna happen. A Zatanna movie series, whatever, should be dark. It shouldn't be some lovable gallop through the bushes with super friends. It should be dark, twisted. It should be my dark, twisted fantasy. Isn't that Kanye's album name? My
it might be.
Fantasy. It should be something like that.
She can do that perfectly well too.
Zatanna is an amazing character. There's a lot of lore there. There's ways to tie Dr. Fate into everything. There's ways to bring Constantine into, you know what I'm saying, and the stuff that's going on. Demons, devils, and vampires. Oh my, it's just so much you can do with that. Now it is a DC property. Let me temper my expectations, because this is something that I want out tomorrow. I know this is something being talked about, but I want it. I need it now. Like this is something that will piss me off if it doesn't come and they get me hyped for this.
I know you probably might boycott WB if this movie doesn't make it to the streaming service.
I would delete HBO Max. I will learn how to hack people's accounts and stop their subscriptions. I would do everything possible to show my wrath for them disappointing me.
I will say, when it comes to Emerald Fennell, I'm not familiar with her Killing Eve series that she worked on, but a part of me actually wants to go back and check it out, especially after watching what she did with Promising Young Woman. I didn't know she was an actor herself, because she apparently popped up in The Crown also, which I didn't catch this season of it, but I will try and check it out a little bit. But I'm getting more and more fascinated by Emerald Fennell the more that I read about her story. But I know you've had the opportunity to watch Promising Young Woman. When you see this and her excitement for knowing that she can kind of take that level of storytelling, but make it even darker on a bigger budget, and her excitement for doing crazy action sequences, that gets me hyped for it. But when you hear her talk about it, what do you think?
Oh yeah, no, I'm super hyped. I think she's actually perfect for a Zatanna movie, and the fact that she wants to make it dark really gets me excited, because one thing I'm really looking forward to ever since they assigned J.J. Abrams to be part of DC is I kept wondering, how is he going to implement the dark part of the DC comic books, because it seems like that's what he's most interested in: the Constantine, the Swamp Thing, and the Zatanna, and then Dr. Fate as well. I'm really excited because it brings in like the whole horror aspect of the DC universe, and hearing that that's what she wants to explore, especially with a character like Zatanna, I feel like the possibilities there are definitely endless. And if she brings like even a little bit of her directing style from Promising Young Women into this, I think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic DC film. And I am incredibly excited to see this. You are muted.
Thank you. I'm thinking about other DC directors. I think they've done a great job with like James Wan and bringing him in for Aquaman. Patty Jenkins when it comes to Wonder Woman. Also, I don't care what anybody says. Zack Snyder when it comes to Man of Steel. Some people would disagree. That's fine. But I feel like they have a really good, at least when it comes to Emerald Fennell. I mean, you want to talk about matching up somebody as a director, like perfect with the character that they're going to be doing the movie for. Man, I think this is a really, I think they, because we compliment Marvel a lot for great casting choices and finding the right person for the job. This is one of the few times that I can honestly sit here and say, with Warner Brothers, I think this is the best, the perfect choice for this Zatanna movie, honestly.
I really hope, I'm not going to get my hopes up, obviously. I do really hope they kind of keep it connected to the Swamp Thing universe that they already kind of built with James Wan's series. Especially because James Wan is still involved with DC. I mean, he's still doing the Aquaman movies, and that show was just so good. And even if they have to move production somewhere else, I really hope they use the dark universe as a way to kind of bring back Swamp Thing into DC.
Even if it's not even necessarily a direct connection, I hope they bring back the actor that was the suit actor for Swamp Thing in the series itself. If they're going to go ahead and do that, like I would be kind of curious to see, like, is Emerald Fennell actually teaming up with J.J. Abrams a little bit? Like, are they talking behind the scenes and trying to come up with storyline and plot details to maybe tie in what she's doing with Zatanna over in J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark movie that we're supposed to be getting also. So I really do hope that there is some connective tissue and it's kind of coming all full circle, if you will. But I do want to ask you guys a question. This is a little, I don't want to say it's off topic of Zatanna, but Zatanna is included in this. We talk about the idea of, them wanting to release 4 movies in the theaters, 2 movies on streaming services a year. Like, I think they're expecting to try and drop 4 movies in 2022. But the riskier things on HBO Max. We've already had a couple of movies announced there, right? Batgirl, Static Shock, Zatanna, Blue Beetle. Do you think these movies should be released theatrically, or would you put them in the riskier sort of line for HBO Max?
If DC wasn't releasing several movies a year, I would say release them in theaters. But the fact that they're releasing them so many in one year, and not to mention they're still competing with Marvel, who's also releasing their movies, a lot of them every year. I think what they're afraid of is that, if they see a character like Blue Beetle getting his own movie in theaters, and then at the same time, probably that same month, because that's the big thing. You got to assume that the average moviegoer only sees one movie a month. So if like Blue Beetle comes out the same month as, let's say, Robert Pattinson's The Batman, or a different Marvel movie like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, the problem is that most people are going to choose to see Multiverse of Madness and not Blue Beetle. But if you release it on a streaming service like HBO Max, that worry is gone, because people aren't that rule doesn't really apply to movies that are on streaming services. I don't think there's really a number that people have calculated yet for how many movies people watch a month on streaming. But I feel like the numbers got to be way more than how many people go to the theater every month. So I feel like that's kind of their mindset. If that is that more people will watch it and we'll have less competition if we release it on HBO Max.
Then let me throw where my mindset is at in regards to this, because I definitely agree with you, Stuart. I definitely agree with you 100%. My question would be, and again, maybe this is just me personally, maybe digging too deep, trying to look for something that's not there. But I guess for me, the issue that I have with some of these movies being pushed over to HBO Max and not theatrical is they're like multicultural movies. You know, Static Shock, black-led movie. A Blue Beetle, Hispanic-led movie. Zatanna, Batgirl, woman-led movie. Straight to HBO Max. Yet, you know, you've got a Black Adam, you've got a Flash, you got a Suicide Squad. You know, all these are male-led movies. I'm sure there's something else probably out there that we could do.
Is Suicide Squad a male-led movie, or is that still
like Harley
Quinn's movie?
I mean, you still have they seem to be pushing Peacekeeper as the main character, since he seems to be like in most of the promotion,
and him getting his own spinoff too. It's a little bit up in the air, Indy. I see what you mean though, Indy. Just because I mean Harley Quinn is always going to be Harley Quinn, but it's like her and the boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Harley Quinn is the only one right now with her own show on television, whether it's animated or not, that's actually successful. She is the name that's going to drive that.
I guess for me, my thing is just the idea of just pushing those multicultural movies to the forefront, you know, taking chances on them. We've seen, you know, look, Black Panther, before Black Panther, granted, Black Panther did go ahead and pop up in Civil War, but outside of, you know, the general public, most people probably didn't know Black Panther, you know what I mean? But they took the opportunity and they took the risk on it and putting it forward, and it did an incredible job. It's one of those things where it's just like, for me, it would be nice to see WB take a risk, you know, putting a character that's maybe not that well known, but putting some great people behind it to make it a successful movie in the box office. Granted, you know, these character names aren't like the Flash and Superman and things like that, right? So there is a name recognition that I think some people won't know who the fuck the Blue Beetle is, you know? But I do think there is an importance of having that diversity on screen, if you will. And granted, we are coming into a different age of how movies are presented to us, right? We don't just have the movie theaters now to present these movies, but we also have streaming services. But I still think the big punch is in the movie theaters. You know what I mean? And I just don't know how I'm feeling about it, guys. Tell me I'm reading into it too much. Tell me that tell me something, Indy.
I believe you're reading in too much to it, because I'm gonna tell you right now, majority of viewers don't want to go to the theater. They will prefer to watch something on HBO Max, to sit in the comfort of their own home. That's what I'm seeing from majority of people when they're talking. They rather save money and support something rather than go out to the theater. You could end up to the fact where you put these movies in the theaters because people aren't going out to watch it because they rather watch it at home, or they're going to wait till it comes on the HBO Max or whatever, that it's going to end up bombing or not doing well, especially when it's a lesser known character. I feel that HBO Max is a big deal rather than, you know what I'm saying, doing something straight to DVD or something like that. I really feel like it's a huge deal for something to premiere on HBO Max.
I mean, and I get that. I mean, you know, you want to bolster up your subscription base. So I get that idea of that. There are going to be some movies that will be sacrificed from the theatrical release to HBO Max. I guess for me, my thing is we can't swap out one for the other. You know, like we can't take one of these big tentpole films that was supposed to come out in theaters and we can't push something like a Static Shock to the forefront, which people have been asking for a Static Shock movie for years. I feel like that could probably grab you some traction. Maybe even a Zatanna movie can grab you some attraction. And, you know, I will say this, the only pushback I will give you, Indy, about nobody wants to go to the movie theaters, the box office says different. You know, you look at A Quiet Place, you look at Conjuring, people are going back to the movie theaters. People have been wanting to get out, and the box office continues to grow after every weekend, it feels like, when you have some of these movies. So I feel like people do want to go out. I just feel like, I guess for me, my biggest thing is like if Supergirl, who's been cast by Sasha Calle, Hispanic-led female, right, for Supergirl. I guess maybe if they announce her movie for HBO Max and not theaters, I might be scratching my head. I might be scratching my head a little bit.
I think it has to deal with, like you say, the movies that are running in the theaters right now doing well are established franchises. A Quiet Place is established franchise. When it comes to DC and their track record, Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, things that they know will do well in the theaters are good, because there's going to be no connective tissue between these, because these are characters that people aren't introduced to on the big screen. It's harder for them to be successful on the big screen. When it came to Black Panther was indoctrinated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe through Civil War. So he was brought through by some of the bigger characters, not just some of them, all of them, including Spider-Man, in order before his movie even came out. So he was deemed as important to start off with. Now, if it was something where my big thing is the thing that should go to the theater in order to bring all these characters to the forefront that we want to see, like Zatanna, especially like a Zatanna, is do a Constantine movie. Introduce Zatanna, constantly somebody that's established, especially if you bring a Keanu Reeves back, you know what I'm saying, to reestablish self as the character, if you want to get something off the bat like that. With Static Shock, you have Static Shock show up in any friggin' DC movie you wanted to, because to be totally honest with you, they don't see him even in the comics as a relevant character. And that's the problem. He should be, but he's not. He's always used as a second fiddle. He was even a guest star when he was on like the Justice League, or a guest character when he's in the Young Justice cartoons and stuff like that. You never spend any time with him. He had a very successful cartoon that only stayed on for a couple of seasons. But everything only stayed on for a couple of seasons back then. But that was little of it. But it was in a time where those style of cartoons were big. And I just don't think they have the confidence behind these characters, regardless of color or creed. There's bigger minority characters that you can honestly use to put out there. And it just doesn't seem like the Supergirl thing should definitely be in theaters, just for the fact it's Supergirl. That shouldn't go to HBO Max. And
I think that's what I'm waiting on. Waiting on. Like if they tell me the Supergirl's going to HBO Max, being with the star of Sasha Calle, I'm gonna have some questions. I guess but I listen, I get exactly what you're saying, Indy. There is a risk to these characters, right? I feel like that's probably gonna be what a lot of these companies are going to do. Movies that are going to definitely bring you in income. Those are the ones that you want to definitely go ahead and put out into the movie theaters, especially in the time and day that we are living. Like you said, Indy, yes, there are some people that maybe don't feel comfortable with going back to the movies, even though the box office is looking pretty good right now. Will the box office be able to still bring in those movies that make, $600 million, $800 million? Will they be able to do that? And if you're not sure if they will, then yes, then clearly those big tentpole films are the ones that you want to put out there, because you're almost kind of guaranteed to at least make something, whereas maybe these HBO Max ones certainly aren't. But again, it just makes me feel some type of way, I think.
The only reason why Black Adam isn't going straight to HBO Max
is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson.
Absolutely.
if you cast Zatanna as a certain popular Hispanic actress that has blockbuster movie quality, you know what I'm saying, it won't go to HBO Max, because it's not WB that's selling Black Adam. It's The Rock, with his workouts on Instagram, with him constantly doing,
he is popping out of his traps. Yeah,
he is selling Black Adam just like he sells every other movie he does. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see how they position themselves, because even with the Marvel movies, who's selling Aquaman? I mean, who's selling Ant-Man? who they cast as King of the Conqueror. When Blade comes around, it's who they cast as Blade that is going to sell Blade. DC has to step up and do more in order to get these characters in the forefront, because I'm gonna tell you something, the C-list characters that Marvel started their universe with, right? Nobody really cared about. Books wasn't selling or anything like that.
Nobody cared about Iron Man.
I can guarantee you that Zatanna, these other characters they're using are higher ranked characters than what Marvel started their cinematic universe with. Yeah. You just have to do right by them, but that's DC's problem, is that they don't do their movies right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I think now I'm not fully agreeing with their mindset, but I think what their mindset is the fact that they don't have the trust of the audience that, Marvel had with their audience when, movies like Black Panther came out and other films. So I feel like their worry is that because they don't have that like big trust with their audience, they haven't built up that big universe that Marvel has, or not in the same way, I should say. I feel like they're afraid that if they release these movies, it's just not going to do anywhere near as well. And then it's going to ruin any opportunity they have to do sequels. Now, I disagree with that mindset. I do think Blue Beetle, if it's done right, can work, and I'm sure it will be. But I feel like when it comes to the character Static Shock, and I say this because I've been seeing, there's a lot of people that aren't comic book fans that love Static Shock. I don't think Static Shock is as big of a risk as DC thinks it is. I think if they release it in theaters, a lot of people are going to have a lot of nostalgia for the cartoon, and they're going to want to go and see it. I know, because like when I was young, that was the superhero show that a lot of people watch, it's funny because, it was on at the same time as like other shows that took place in that continuity, like Justice League. And I believe even though Teen Titans wasn't connected, it was still going on at the same time. And not a lot of people I knew were watching Justice League and Teen Titans, but everyone I knew was watching Static Shock. And I think it's just because he was such a easy to relate to character where, like basically just kind of being like going through the problems of like trying to be a superhero, trying to, in other words, kind of can be seen as a metaphor for extracurricular activities, and then trying to deal with regular school drama that everyone has to go through. I think the show did such a great job that like a lot of kids my age at the time were able to relate to that.
No, I 110% agree with you. I think I'm going to be honest with you. I think the WB has an issue where they're too worried about not getting something right. And that might be the problem. There is a huge Static Shock is a very popular character. He has a whole bunch of nostalgia, but don't do that movie right, and fans are going to rage.
Yeah, some people will be mad. And again, look, I am appreciative at least that WB is going to be at least tackling some of these movies and at least giving them a showcase. So I am thankful for that. But there's just something about that oomph about being on the big movie screen, you know what I mean? And being in theaters that I think really does go a long way in regards to diversity and things like that. So we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. We know that when it comes to DC, I think they're still trying to figure things out for themselves. I think the Flash movie that we get will probably really put this universe in a much better perspective for all of us to kind of see what their big plans certainly are and how they're going to be executing these things going forward. But we'll see what happens, guys. Are you thrilled with some of the movies that are going to be coming out on HBO Max? Do you think some of them should be going to the theaters instead of just a streaming service? Definitely go ahead and let us know your guys' thoughts in regards to that. And with that, guys, I think that will do it for all of our topics today. So thank you guys for certainly coming through as always with some great discussion.
They've been active today, yo. The comments have been jumping.
Maybe just AJ. AJ is like he's just been throwing random ass comments.
Oh damn, that is all AJ.
It's all AJ with a couple of things here and there. Quick shout out to some people that let me see. I think you did pull up most of the people that were in here. Power Rangers Legacy was in here. Thank you very much, man. He says, when is the final I think you already commented on him in the chat.
I don't know. Season 8 hasn't started filming yet. We're still in season 7.
Let's see here. And also Captain RGD. Thank you very much for certainly coming through today. He said, should the Flash just end or get canceled?
Should have been 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, start wrapping this shit up, guys.
I want it to end. If the writing isn't going to improve, I hope it ends at season 8. I hope season 8 is the last.
Bad. This season has been so bad.
This last, yeah.
Power Rangers Legacy says, what shows and movies do you guys not watch? You guys seem to watch every single thing that's out there that no one even knows about. Well, that's what this show is about, right? Yeah. It's like, even if you don't necessarily know about some of these shows, this is to go ahead and bring awareness to some television shows that are in production, to some movies that are in production, to get you guys hyped about, sort of thing. I mean, I feel like we watch almost everything, and anything that we can't watch. I mean, I might have dabbled in an episode or two, one or two or here type of thing, but yeah, we watch a lot of TV.
I don't watch Teen Mom.
I mean, I just don't watch a lot of reality shows in general.
my girlfriend has me hooked on this show like 90 Days After or something like that, or it's like the single life 90 days or something like that. I don't remember. I think it's like you get 3 months to spend with somebody on a date, or you travel to go visit them and then decide if you want to marry them and move on with her. I don't know what it is, but they got me hooked.
You're watching a show about your life.
I mean, no. Huh? No. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into some live viewer questions, because we do have ourselves some live viewer questions to tackle with you guys today. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Hold on one second. All right, let's see here. Jessica Friedman. Hey guys, would you like to see would you like to see Superman and Supergirl team up one last time before Supergirl hangs up her cape? Yeah, I would love to see them cross over with each other. I think they were supposed to have a crossover event this season, or at least have Melissa Benoist pop up on in Smallville. But I believe due to the pandemic and everything like that, they might have had to scrap it. I can't remember, but I believe something was planned. I do think we will get it. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be before she hangs up her cape, as in like before this season finale this season, but I do expect Melissa Benoist to pop back up at some point in time in Superman and Lois. What do you guys think?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, because I don't. Well, no, I don't. I really wanted her to have a last crossover with Flash. That's what I wanted. I wanted her to go over to Flash or the Batwoman and have that, you know what I'm saying, one of them two to help establish those shows more, because Superman and Lois is going to be good. That they have absolutely nothing to worry about.
I personally think, Melissa Benoist, I think it's going to be the same thing with, David Ramsey and Cress Williams. I don't think they're going to be gone from the Arrowverse altogether. I think we're still going to get them guest starring every once in a while. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not going to see them like become full on series regulars or anything like that. No, that ship has sailed. But I do think that we're going to see them, making appearances here and there. And I think season 2 of Superman and Lois, I don't see any reason why we can't get a Supergirl, appearance in at least one episode, especially like we're in the direction where this season is kind of going. It would be kind of interesting to see, Supergirl's character, but in a very different type of environment, especially with Superman and Lois being a very, very different type of show from Supergirl.
Leslie here. And then we also have a question from Marcelino Vasquez. He's got a couple comments and questions. He says, I know we talked about this last week, but there's something I forgot to mention. When comparing comics to novels on being adapted into movies, comics are easier to accept because they show visual images. However, manga also shows visual images, yet when manga gets adapted into an anime, the majority of fans usually have a mindset of making a copy and paste, or we will write in the same mindset as when a novel gets adapted into a movie. Can you explain why that certainly is?
Yes, that's because mangas usually contain the same writer throughout the entire thing. They usually have a beginning and ending in mind when they start writing it. Sometimes they have a lot more adventures that kind of pop in their heads, like in between. Like One Piece, for example, I remember the current author of that series was saying that he knows how he wants to end it. It's just that he has so many adventures in his mind that he wants to keep it going for as long until he runs out of ideas. But the moment he runs out of ideas, he knows exactly how he wants to end it. Comic books don't have that because they're meant to keep going over and over. And because of that, writers keep changing visions about how superheroes should be presented, always change. You look at Batman, for example, everyone has their own idea of how Batman should be. Should Batman be a killer? Should Batman be a detective? Should Batman be campy? Should he be serious? It's really hard to have like direct translations from comic books because comic books aren't as consistent as manga.
Mangas are novels. That's honestly how they're written. With the way they put the condominiums together, you know what I'm saying? It's normally like 1 through 30 when you're getting them, at one time. And just like Stuart said, that they're normally written by one. They're normally written by one person and normally illustrated by only a few people. It's a work that comes together when people want to see it animated. They want to see those particular stories animated with nothing done, because when it comes to the lore and stuff in a lot of these mangas, it's serious. The thought process that writers actually put into it. It's not like when you got DC, it's 15 different people writing Batman. It's 15 different stories you can animate with Batman. But when it comes to friggin' Demon Slayer or, Dragon Ball, it's only one story to tell.
He also asks, he says, this question is for Stuart. Since JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is confirmed to be adapting part 6 into an anime, which band or song from the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s to be used as names for stands?
Oh man, I'm honestly not sure because I haven't read part 6 yet. Because I haven't actually read any of the manga for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So honestly, I'm not sure, but I am kind of curious. I'm a little less curious about which bands are going to be name dropped in season 6. I'm more curious about how the English dub is going to change the names due to copyright laws, because that's always something I found hilarious about the other JoJo Bizarre Adventure seasons, is some of the ways they've had to change the names in order to avoid like different copyright issues. Like, for example, Killer Queen, instead of that, they have to call them Deadly Queen, things like that. So that's kind of what I'm more curious about, is like kind of the funny ways they're going to be changing the names.
Nice, very nice. And then he also asks, we all know that the ending of Wonder Woman isn't what Patty Jenkins wanted it to be, but it was a last-minute decision made by Warner Brothers. But how come she hasn't come out and said in detail what she had originally planned for the ending to be?
NDA. Non-disclosure agreement, and because she has another payday coming with Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah, she doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus right now, I'm sure, to a certain extent. But
wait, is she referring to, or sorry, is like the question referring to the first Wonder Woman movie or the second Wonder Woman movie?
I don't know. It just says we all know that the ending of Wonder Woman isn't what Patty Jenkins wanted it to be, but it was a last-minute decision made by Warner Brothers. So I don't know if it was
the second, I believe.
The second one.
If it's the second, then wow, whoever made that decision of changing the ending should be fired, because I'm sure whatever Patty Jenkins had in mind would have been a million times better than what we got in the second movie.
Yeah, and I think just because, she wants to keep good relationships with Warner Brothers for sure. And I just feel like if she does come out and explain what the original plan was, the fact that there's going to be some fans that are going to start being like, I want the Patty Jenkins cut of Wonder Woman 1984 to come out, and then then you're just going to have fans that's going to be clamoring for that version, and people aren't going to be upset. So it's just adding more fuel to the fire, and I don't think she wants that right now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. We got AJ. AJ's got a couple questions. He says, now that Tom Cavanaugh and Carlos Valdez have officially left The Flash as series regulars, what were some of your favorite moments or episodes with the two fan favorite dudes?
Ooh, I got a good one, actually. And it's not just what happened, it's how it happened was probably one of the funniest things ever. So season 1 of The Flash, when I was first getting into it, my friend had already watched it and I was binging it on Netflix, and we happened to get to the first time travel episode. And I don't know what made me say it, but like just during the episode, I just kind of randomly go, I think Cisco's starting to become my favorite character. and he just gives me like this weird smile and goes, "Oh yeah, if I were you, I wouldn't get too attached to him." And I'm kind of like, yeah, right. There's no way they kill a character like him off in this show. And that was the episode where he ends up getting killed. And since this is the first time, this was before they started introducing the time travel aspects, I actually thought for a moment, I'm like, no, they actually killed him off in the episode. And it wasn't until the very end of the episode where where the Flash travels back in time, and you're like, oh, okay. That definitely had me there for a minute. So I think just because of the way that happened, the fact that I just happened to bring up in that episode, I really like his character, and my friend just knew exactly what to say in that moment. That's kind of my favorite Cisco moment, is him getting killed off and then brought back to life in the next episode.
What about you, Whit? Do you have any great Tom Cavanaugh, Carlos Valdez moments from their time in the Flash?
Carlos rather Tom Cavanaugh, because my favorite version of Tom Cavanaugh's Wells is season one. When you know what I'm saying, that's the best and only one. The other ones are good, but that's the one that made me feel like, hey, this dude can act. When it came towards that, but what is the name of that? I'm actually trying to find the episode. At season 1, episode 19, who is Harrison Wells. That's when the first time I see Joe and Cisco going to Starling City to try to find answers about Dr. Wells, and you get that whole interaction with the episode crossover, and the funniness of Cisco just seeing stuff like and it was just really good.
It's so funny because I look back on season 1 of The Flash, and I think that was like one of season 5's like big missed opportunities. Because you look at season 1 and then you look at in season 5 when he's in prison, and it does seem like he's trying to do good for like the first time in the series. He's trying to make up for what he's done. And you look at season 1 and how he actually grew to kind of care for the Flash family. That actually is very much in character with him. So it sucks so much that, of course they went with the obvious, he was just manipulating her the whole time. He's not actually a changed man. He's just trying to escape from prison. That annoyed me so very much, because I'm like, no, you built this up in season 1. You've even in Legends of Tomorrow, they kind of hint at ideas that he's not really that evil altogether, that there is like, a chance of redemption for him. So it really sucks that they dropped the ball with that in season 5.
I think he really does care for them. They just didn't portray it right, especially for Nora, that he really cared about Nora. And it's just a man trying to outrun his death. That's really what they never got through, is that he's literally outrunning death the entire time that he's there. And I don't think we've seen the last of him. And I think we'll see a switch up.
I'm sure we are. And especially like, okay, so I have been getting really annoyed with how every episode of The Flash is just The Flash talking down villains and that being enough. But I do think it'll work with the Reverse Flash if they do it correctly. That said, don't give him a full-time job because he broke the law. That
what happened in the last episode?
Yeah, that pisses me off so much.
You ain't got to go to jail. I'm going to talk to the mayor and get you a job and helping people. You're just trying to be Robin Hood. This lady was finna kill an entire friggin' city.
Gold.
She was going to drop onto a stadium from thousands of feet in the air, like people weren't going to die.
I was going to make this joke on Twitter, or I technically did, but I had to delete this tweet immediately afterwards because my girlfriend told me that people might take it the wrong way. And I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. But I was like jokingly thinking, oh, you know what? This season is so much about redemption in The Flash. When are we going to get an episode where we get Eric Wallace forgiving Hartley Sawyer?
Yeah,
I can see
that. I'm glad you stayed away from that.
I'm glad. Yeah, you might have got
that, but that was like what was going on through my mind. Is I'm just like, man, like, I don't know. Can we just have at least one villain that stays evil, or at least like if you want to redeem a villain, that is totally fine. But you got to take your time with it. Like, no one changes from one like heartfelt speech. No one goes from, you know what? You bring up a good point. I'm not going to murder this person because you gave sweet speech.
It's the Flash. Things move fast, and he's learned that talk no jutsu from Naruto. So I mean, Naruto's got entire friggin' villains to rewrite history in order to bring people back to life just because he talked to them.
All right. A couple more questions from AJ. Do you think we'll ever see Jenna Dewan return as Lucy Lane on Superman and Lois, unless Crisis created a new Lucy Lane for Superman and Lois? Yeah, I think we're going to get ourselves, if we do get another Lucy Lane, I think we'll give us somebody else.
I think it depends on if the actress wants to come back. I feel like it's a role where they'll reach out to her and see if she's interested, but if not, they'll probably have no issue in recasting her.
Jenna Dewan. Yeah, no, I'm out. I'm out on it.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I think she was like Supergirl season 1 or 2 or something like that.
That was season 1. That was early.
That was NBC Supergirl.
Yeah. Then probably not.
Definitely wasn't watching NBC Supergirl.
Yeah, if James Olsen tossed her to the side, then there's no reason for her to be back here on the CW. So
facts.
I'm good. Let's see here. And then he said, with the recent reveal of Luke Fox suiting up as the first live action Batwing for the CW, do you think he will fight alongside Ryan, or will he do his own thing and go after Agent Tavaroff, who tried to kill him and frame him for being a black man who tried to stop a carjacking?
The character of Luke Fox is they've already stated that he's fighting alongside Ryan Wilder. That's already been stated in the article. That's what he's going to be. He is the sidekick to Batwoman. Agent Tavaroff, we have to see what's going to happen, because with the Crows being disbanded, that man has no power right now. He can't run around and do what he was going to do. He might be going to jail, to be totally honest with you. Right now, we might not see too much of him going forward. I do believe Luke believes in the law, but let this man breathe a little bit. He just died and came back to life. So let's see what happens.
I mean, I feel like, just knowing how all these CW shows go, we're probably going to get an episode where he comes across him and, almost doesn't want to hold back, almost wants to treat him with the same brutality. Okay, so I haven't seen the episode, so I don't know exactly how it played out. But I feel like, you'll probably have Ryan Wilder talking him down, getting him to do it,
So Luke's going to do everything. He's going to break every code he had to do exactly what he tells Ryan not to do the whole time.
Well, we all have out of character moments when we're facing someone that, wronged us in really bad ways. So I think he'll have a brief moment of weakness, like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi type of thing. But I think it'll be talked down, and he'll come once he has a moment to breathe, he'll be able to be no, I'm not going to stoop to your level.
This is really interesting to me, because this is the man that let the person that killed his dad go.
Yeah, so exactly. I think that's good. Yeah, I think it could potentially lead to him kind of almost crossing the line, but Ryan being there to stop him from doing so.
He's got a girlfriend finna pop up. Luke's finna have babies.
All right. Next couple questions from Adrian Perez. What TV series have you seen that's so bad that it was canceled after a few episodes or one season? Great question. Jupiter's Legacy. No, too soon.
What was that fantasy show that had the dude that played Deathstroke? It was on MTV.
That Manu Bennett. I think something, the Chronicles of CR or some shit. I don't know.
That shit was horrible.
I think that might have gotten 2 seasons. It maybe
did, huh? It did. And I'm the only reason I was watching that was for Manu, and I was I can't do this too much longer. I want to support you guys since you can't play Deathstroke, but find better jobs. This doesn't work.
It's funny. On the top of my head, I can't think of examples of shows that have gotten canceled after only a couple episodes that are bad, but I can think of a good show that got canceled literally after just 2 episodes that were aired out of order. The Clerks animated series was actually really funny and had a lot of potential to grow, but yeah, I think it was ABC. They canceled it after just 2 episodes.
I'm trying to think of one show that I think is horrible and should be canceled. I don't know how it's lasted as long as it has. Manifest, I think on NBC or ABC. It was atrocious concept. Was not the biggest fan of it. And one show that I actually gave a shot, but I didn't really like too much. I don't know if it's been canceled or not, or if they still plan on getting one. I'm a huge fan of courtroom dramas. HBO Max did their version of Perry Mason did like a series of it. And I used to, growing up as a kid, I used to every once in a while watch like the black and white Perry Mason shows, but HBO Max has a Perry Mason season. Was not the biggest fan of. I don't know if it's going to get a second season or not, but I've only known one season of it. I didn't really care for it too much, unfortunately. So I'm assuming, if anything, that might be canceled. But there are some shows I think are trash, and they're still continuing to get more seasons, though, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. Do you guys think The Flash went downhill since season 4 or just now with season 7? My last season I watched was season 4 with the guy who can steal minds.
My opinion. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, for me, I think that's where I started falling off of this series. Was it The Thinker? No, what was his name?
Yeah, Thinker.
Adam gives me shows to review that he doesn't want to review anymore.
No.
Yeah, because to me, seasons 3 through 5 of The Flash have just always been like kind of up and downhill, and I think that's one of the reasons they changed the formula to make it 2 villains this season instead of 1, is because when it came to characters like Savitar, the Thinker, and Zakeda, I think it was just really hard to write these type of characters to last 23 episodes. I don't think these were meant to be 23 episode villains. They each would have worked a lot better if they had done like the 2 villain a season like format from season 3 and onward. Like maybe have Alchemy last more than just for the first 4 episodes. Have him be like the main villain for like the first 12 episodes and then switch to Savitar.
This is the reason why CW really should start transitioning these 20 plus episode seasons to pick up the Black Lightning format and give me 13 to 16 episodes a season is all I need at this point.
Well, when you use Godspeed as a one-off, villain twice, something's wrong.
And he's still coming back again, isn't he?
Yeah, the problem with the Flash is that he doesn't have like a litany of villains that people care about other than like 3, and that's the problem. Even in the comics, he's always fighting the same 3 people over and over again.
But I think that just means you got to make them into those characters,
or stop following stuff so much. And with DC properties, since they're reset so much, just make new villains. Make new villains that are meant just for the television show and give us something compelling. I mean, that would have been dope. The alternate universe vibes could have been around, longer than what they were for the couple of episodes. There's a lot of stuff you can do with these characters. I mean, and he keeps turning his villains into freaking heroes. Like nobody wanted Killer Frost to be a part of Team Flash. Like,
so the question is, do you think that means it's been going downhill since season 4 or just now since season 7?
For me, it's been since season 6. Like season 6 is where it started to be with you could tell by the reviews if anybody's watching, it got to the point where it was hard to review. Like where I was like, you know what, it's easy for me to review 2 episodes together and try to find something in one episode to talk about because that's how bad the episodes are. This season has been flipping horrible. From beginning, like really bad. When you look at Batwoman having to go through what they went through with bringing in a new person to wear that suit, having to change their stories and stuff around, and the writing in that, and it probably helped them with the writing, to be totally honest with you. But for that to be so much better than the Flash in season 7, which has been around for a while, even Arrow didn't have this bad of a season. And Arrow has some bad seasons, and none of the Arrow seasons have been this bad, to the point where I don't look forward to reviewing the Flash. Like it feels like a chore. Like Batwoman, cool. Like I'm looking for other stuff to review, like just so I can have some fun. This is really bad. And if it keeps going this route, season 8 is the last season where they want it to be or not, period.
Well, I'm glad you're joining us then for Loki, so that should work.
I think if it wasn't for the fact that we finally finished up the Forces arc, which was just so bad, if it wasn't for that fact, I actually would have been given up on the Flash by now. The only thing that's making me stick around for this next half of the season is knowing that it's going to be like a new villain now, and that they're going to be kind of going hopefully in a different direction. So I'm going to give it a couple more episodes, but if not, I'm going to just kind of stop watching until the whole series just finishes up. Then I'll just binge it, kind of like I'm going to do with Batwoman.
And ever since the Force stuff ended, it has been less Iris. So the show is I'm not joking. It has been less Iris, and they've been giving my boy Chester some more screen time, and that has helped.
All right, last question from Adrian. What do you guys want to expect with John Diggle returning to that Arrowverse with all 5 shows, starting with Batwoman this Sunday? Do you think he knows about Kate Kane since they met during Crisis on Infinite Earths event?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's like that should be. I mean, yeah, everybody should know about Kate Kane. He knew her identity.
Yeah.
I don't think that reset like that. I think those individuals, if we go by, especially the spinoff for the Canaries that never came out, it's certain individuals that know everything that happened. So he should know. So I honestly feel like he's coming to pay his homage to Kate because he doesn't know she's still alive. I think the only people that know are Ocean, Alice, and now Jacob Kane are the only ones that know that she's alive. So he's probably coming to pay his respects and see about who this new Batwoman is, because he know who the original Batwoman was, see if she lives up to what he wants her to live up, and probably offer Argus help in whatever, you know what I'm saying, is going on. So I feel like this episode should be very important. It should pick up, and I'm very curious to see what happens tonight. Like I'm ecstatic to see Diggle on the screen. This was my dude for years, and him coming back is just gonna make me really upset if by the end of these 5 episodes he doesn't have a ring on his finger.
Stuart, let me ask you also, he did just do the episode for Superman and Lois, right? Didn't he just direct?
He directed, but he hasn't actually made an appearance yet.
Which episode was that? Was that episode
it was Man of Steel, I believe, was the episode he directed.
The John Henry Irons one?
Yeah, when they first revealed it was John Henry Irons. I think that was the episode he directed, but I'd have to double check.
Okay.
But yeah, he will. I think it's episode 12 where he's going to make his appearance. Personally, what I hope they do and what I think they're going to do, because it sounds like he's not going to actually be suited up in the Green Lantern outfit. But because it sounds like from the way they're describing his upcoming episodes, like he's running from something, like he didn't accept the call from the ring, and there's going to be consequences for that. But I do think that at the very end, we're going to see him with the ring on. We're just not going to see him suited up, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Let's see. Doomsday's got a couple questions for us. He says, what do you think about the idea of Thor being the only one of the original Avengers to have 4 solo movies? I mean, he is a god after all, so Homeboy's going to be sticking around a lot longer than most people. Unfortunately, we've seen the demise of Tony. We've seen Captain America no longer coming. Granted, we are going to get a 4th Captain America movie, but unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, but fortunately for us, it's going to be Anthony Mackie. Steve Rogers, unfortunately, is not going to be here. But what's up?
Thor Ragnarok. And then Thor Love and Thunder.
Listen, I know we want to forget about the Dark World, but it's there indeed. It's there indeed.
I think someone made that joke, like, why does Thor have another movie? And Marvel's like, because all our characters deserve a trilogy. And so far as we're concerned, Thor only has 2 movies.
Nah, with me, I don't know, because this Thor movie, especially how they're marketing it, to me, I don't see it as a 4th Thor movie. To me, this is like an ensemble movie. I think it's going to be like a passing of the torch thing, because I don't even count Civil War as a straight Cap movie. That was a mini Avengers movie. So I really don't get it. But if anybody deserves it, especially to make up for Dark World, you give that man as many movies as he wants.
Yeah, man, I definitely thank Taika Waititi for injecting some additional life into that franchise. I mean, I still think the first Thor is certainly underrated. I really enjoyed that first Thor movie. Dark World is certainly forgettable for sure. And I just think when you needed another impactful movie for Thor to at least round out the trilogy, I thought Taika did a brilliant job, and he did exactly what he needed to. So much to where now him him and Chris Hemsworth are the reason why we're certainly getting a fourth
Facts.
one. So they definitely have put in the work to deserve one for sure.
Although there was good stuff in Dark World, Thor's mom, the stuff that went on with her and everything, there were key moments. It's just that movie was just a jumbled pile of stuff. It just didn't seem like it was thought out.
And they continue, and they continue to push just its importance, right? Not only did we see that in Endgame, but we're also even seeing that in the Loki series from episode 1.
Jesus,
just what that pivotal moment wind up having on him. So Marvel's not afraid to push the Dark World on us, just to give us a friendly reminder. But is there any other reason why you think, Stuart, that it's getting a fourth one?
Number one reason is because Chris Hemsworth wants to keep doing it. I think that as long as these Marvel actors want to be in it, I think Marvel's going to keep them as long as they want to. But what I don't want to see happen, and I think Marvel's smart about this, and that's why they let Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson go. They don't want to, they don't want these actors to continue playing these roles if they know that they're going to get fatigued and not have fun with it later on. I think they want to keep them as long as they want to be in there. And I don't think they want to push them any more than that, or else, they're not going to have fun playing the roles. And then we're not going to have fun watching them play the roles.
I think Scarlett would have stuck around.
Yeah,
I think she would have stuck around. I think the issue with her was getting pregnant and having kids. Yeah, 'cause she was pregnant filming one of the movies. I think she was pregnant filming like Infinity War or something like that. And that's one of the reasons she wanted to, take time away. But they would welcome her back with, open arms. And I think
I would welcome her back with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing as other actresses, taking off for having kids and different things like that. You want to raise your family and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And the next question from Doomsday says, do you think Space Jam, A New Legacy, will be better or worse than the first Space Jam based on what we've seen in the trailer? Clearly, Indy's a huge Space Jam fan. He's probably mad that MJ's not coming back. We're not going to have no R. Kelly soundtrack. I get the disappointment, Indy. I get it.
Have who soundtrack? You mean Seal?
Get that Seal soundtrack on there.
Yeah, nah, I don't know nothing about no who is this R. Kelly you talk of?
Do you think the sequel will be as good as the first one?
I don't know. I never saw the first movie, so I can't tell you.
Really?
Nah, I never saw Space Jam. I was never a Looney Tunes fan.
Okay.
And I'm a Michael. I grew up in Gary, Indiana. I am an avid Pacers fan. I don't rock with the Knicks. I don't rock with the Chicago Bulls. So I'm not watching anything that Michael Jordan has anything to do with.
I get you.
I loved Space Jam as a kid just because, I was a huge fan of the Looney Tunes as a kid. So I absolutely loved Space Jam. That was like one of my favorite. Okay. So there was a scene in Space Jam where you see a television screen or multiple television screens, and they each show like different clips from different Looney Tunes cartoons. There was a period of time where I could name almost every single episode that all of those were coming from.
Man, I didn't know you were such a big Looney Tunes fan, man. That's crazy to learn.
No, I'm a Who Framed Roger Rabbit fan. There would be nothing in that style that has been done better than that movie.
Yeah, I actually do agree. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Nothing has topped that since then.
Well, I will answer your question, Doomsday. I think the new movie will be worse than Space Jam 1.
Thank you, because LeBron is not the GOAT.
I mean, yes. And, I mean, do I think this movie will make money? I do think the movie will make money at the box office. I feel like this is maybe one of the first kid movies that'll be out in like a long time. So I think the movie will make money. I just don't know if it's going to be as good as the first one. Not that it's a Oscar-winning Space Jam movie at all, but I don't know. I didn't think there's something about that nostalgia factor that goes into it. And the Monstars, come on, man. Yeah, come on.
The only thing that kind of
go ahead. I was gonna say I'll rewatch the Twilight series before I watch Space Jam 2, whatever it is.
You're doing yourself a disservice then, brother.
The only thing that kind of worries me about it is that it feels like they're really excited to show their whole catalog of Warner Brother properties rather than just the Looney Tunes, when I think all you need is the Looney Tunes. Not everything they do needs to be the Lego movie. And it feels like this is them trying to make another Lego movie type thing. So I hope they focus more on making this movie good and less on making sure they can show off every single property that they own.
Plus, man, come on now. You already know how it is. You see the team that they got LeBron going up against, you know what I'm saying, with Klay Thompson, you know what I'm saying, Dame Dollar and others. You know, if he don't go recruit Steph Curry, he can't win. So it's like that if somebody tells me that he recruits NBA stars that I like he goes get Steph Curry, he goes and gets, you know what I'm saying, the Greek Freak, you know what I'm saying, other people and bring them in. Yeah, I'm gonna rock with that. I might check it out. But they already given you the entire friggin' movie in trailers and interviews and stuff they talking about, and you know who's gonna win at the end. He's gonna pass. He's not gonna take the shot himself. He's gonna pass it to Lola Bunny. She's gonna score the winning shot, and it's gonna be over with. Mark my word.
Right. Well, for somebody that hasn't watched the movie, you certainly know these characters pretty well, it feels like. Let's see. We got Doomsday. He says, do you feel like Ryan Reynolds somehow managed to turn not all that intended comedy films into full-on comedies? For example, his new movie, Free Guy. I don't know if Ryan Reynolds turns movies into all full-on comedies. Like, I don't think they have like a drama and they're like, let's cast Ryan Reynolds, and then Ryan Reynolds comes in and he just delivers all these lines with comedic fashion. All of a sudden we've got a comedy on our hands. I just think those are just the movies that he goes out for. I mean, the movies that Ryan Reynolds attaches himself to are meant to be comedies. I mean, granted, maybe romantic comedies, maybe he's supposed to be the comedic foil in these movies, but I don't think it's like the movie was something different and then Ryan Reynolds comes on board.
If you watched that trailer for Free Guy and you didn't think it was a comedy, I don't know what a comedy is.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think Free Guys is meant to be a comedy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think what's good about Ryan Reynolds is that if you're not the best at writing jokes, he's the perfect actor to hire for your film, since a lot of the funnier jokes that you'll see in like Deadpool or other movies that he's in Green Lantern, for example, it's because he's the one who actually comes up with them on the spot, and he helps like you rewrite your script to make it so it's like that much funnier.
Yeah, and that it fits his character and his personality for sure. I think when you hire Ryan Reynolds, I think that's what you know you're going to get. Like he did Buried, right? The Buried Alive movie. He didn't turn that into a comedy. Just, you know, he did the role that was asked of him. So Ryan Reynolds is pretty multifaceted. So
yeah, Ryan Reynolds is not Dane Cook. That's why I'm so glad Dane Cook doesn't exist anymore.
Remember he was hot for like years, for a little bit.
He had like a hot 2-year run. I don't know what happened. It was like Waiting something else, and you're like,
I think he jumped into the movies way too quick, and I guess people realized maybe he's not that funny.
Yeah, he's not that funny.
Power Rangers Legacy says, what do you guys think of the Flash? Oh, we already talked about that. Do you think it reaches season 9? Excuse me. Do you think it'll get a 9th season?
No, I think it's over with 8. I think Grant Gustin was ready to go a while ago, and the only reason he stuck around is because he knew the show revolved around him, and he had other people that depended on him being there. Now that he has people actually leaving, that leaves only him and two other castmates as like the original ones in the show.
Who do you think leaves next then? Do you think somebody will leave next, or do you think the show will cancel?
The show's just going to end because as of right now, Caitlin Snow is on and off the show. Even though she's a series regular, she's not always there. You don't see Joe a lot. You know what I'm saying? You're not even seeing his wife a lot. So the show has really just been Barry and Iris, and you don't see Iris half the time anymore unless the show focuses around something going on with her.
So you think season 8's the last?
Yeah, and she's too busy chasing around basketball players anyway. So
I think
what about you, Stuart?
I think if the writing doesn't improve, I don't see how they can possibly go past season 8, because and to keep in mind, like, I've been talking crap about Flash this entire episode of Hero Report, but it's only because like I do love the Flash, you know, like as a series. So that's why I'm like talking so much crap about it, because I want it to get better. I don't want this to be like, you know, the direction the show goes for, you know, the last couple seasons that it may have. But yeah, if it doesn't get any better, I hope season 8 is the last season, because I don't want to see it get worse than this.
They are great actors for this type of show, but they don't have the capability of acting to make that writing come off any better.
How could anyone?
They don't. Well, they did it with Supernatural. Supernatural was bad for a couple of seasons, but they don't have the following Supernatural has either, in order to keep them afloat for too much longer if the show keeps going bad, because all they doing is putting fuel on the fire for the people who don't like the show to start off with.
Mhm.
Let's see here, and then we got yeah, I think season 8 will be the last one, especially since they're doing the crossovers or something like that, bringing people in. It feels like a farewell kind of tour. Second question: what weird movie or show you guys have watched recently or in your life? Favorite weird movie or show you guys have watched recently or in your life?
I've just started rewatching, and I just finished season 1 since it's only like 2 7-episode seasons. I just finished rewatching the first season of Danger 5, and that show, if you guys haven't seen it, it's on Tubi, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's a 1960s style World War II spy thriller comedy, and there's this funny gag that whenever there's a specific character who loves to make like cocktails, and whenever a character like dies in his arms, their last words are telling him the ingredients to an amazing cocktail for him to try out. So it's a really funny show. It's really bizarre. It's not for everyone. You gotta have an appreciation for like a real, because it feels like a show that's from the 60s but with like more modern humor, because of the way it's filmed, and just even the sound quality, you know, is purposely like dumbed down in order to match the like television from that day. But it's just absolutely hilarious. You know, I recommend checking it out.
Okay, we'll definitely keep that on the radar for sure.
Okay. Oh, my bad. They dropped.
Oh, I thought you.
No, they dropped the T'Challa trailer for the Avengers, the Marvel Avengers game.
Oh, nice. They're gonna add them to the video game.
Yeah,
nice.
To the game. For me, to be totally honest with you, the time I got reincarnated as a slime, I watch weird stuff. I like a lot of isekai anime that has to deal with like a character dying and getting reincarnated as something else or someone else somewhere else. So I tend to lean towards that. But still, like the weirdest thing I ever watched that to this day I still watch, I just introduced the kid to it, is the Guyver. I watched the Guyver 1 and 2, and I remember the first time I watched that, I think I caught it on Showtime or something, randomly in the middle of the movie, and it's a dinosaur with dreads talking, challenging a dude in an Ultraman suit to a fight, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And ended up watching that movie every time it came on because it just hit that weird Japanese, you know what I'm saying, Power Ranger vibe to me, except there was blood and they cussed. So I was all for it.
Don't look at a little the front cover because it's major false advertising though, for the first movie anyways. They show Mark Hamill with the Guyver mask covering half his face, kind of giving you the impression that he's the main character. He's not. He's like in the movie, but he's definitely not the main character. But the Guyver 2, though, I absolutely love that movie. I thought the first one was okay, but the second one is awesome.
Come on, man. The first one had JJ in it, man.
Yeah, but that's just so much cooler.
For me, I think my weirdest thing I've watched was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. When I was watching that as a kid, I don't even know if it necessarily scared me so much as it was like just the designs of the clowns. I was like, "What the am I watching right now?" Like it was so weird and creepy. It was yeah, it was pretty weird.
You know what I always find funny about those old school kind of weird horror films is like you get the main characters going to like the local police trying to tell them what's going on. We got killer clowns from outer space. And then they get mad when the police officers are like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, why did you think they would believe you right off the bat? Like when you tell them something that crazy, why do you think people are going to like instantly believe you with that kind of a thing?
Yeah, it's always odd when they do that. Last question here for us, guys. When did you guys realize that the Fast and the Furious movies went from a car racing film to a heist franchise with no real world logic? I mean, from the idea of to a heist franchise, probably 4. I think maybe 5 is when I started realizing that they really aren't having any real world logic to this. But what about you guys? Is there a particular movie that you were like, okay, yeah, this is going off the track?
I never viewed it as a heist franchise or racing franchise. I viewed it as a movie about family and bad decisions. Like it's always been that to me. It's been about from the time that fucking the cop let Toretto go, I call him the cop now because I never want to brutalize his name. But when the cop let Toretto go, it's to me, it was about friends and family, less about the racing. The racing was what got you to that point, and everything was going on the story. The thing about that franchise is that they've always told good stories. Regardless of what goes on the screen, they can get from point A to point B very well. When they're telling your story, they know exactly what they want to show you, and they show it to you. As far as the action goes, when you're running from the government, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was it? Fast forward, all in Mexico, running because of him being let go and stuff like that. Sometimes when you start working for the government, they had you do crazy stuff. So it to me, it's no different than a James Bond flick or anything like that. You know, it's supposed to be action packed, except to me, they actually have a story. But where it changed, the second one, when Vin Diesel decided he didn't want to do the movie because he wanted to go be acting real stuff that didn't make money, so he came back later. That's where it changed to me, because to me, one of the best movies in the franchise is the third one, Tokyo Drift. And that was the best one that evolved to me around racing and stuff like that. It's probably around the second one where I feel like it went off the handles, because then to me, it just turned into like a buddy cop film. Like every movie to me has done something different, and they're just telling different stories, but they're using adrenaline. They're just doing it. They're adrenaline junkies to me more than racers. You know what I'm saying? They just use cars for the adrenaline junkies. Everything goes different. To me, this ain't nothing but Triple X, but more in a world-based thing, because none of the stuff in Triple X I feel like could really happen. But you know what I'm saying? A lot of this stuff, as far as the situations they put themselves in, not necessarily using a car to friggin' bungee jump to land on another side of a mountain could really happen. But the situations they put themselves in between the government and villains and stuff like that, to me, is something that could really happen.
To me, it started to get weird alone in the second movie. Just because that was when they had those weird devices where it was like you shot it at a car and it would suddenly turn the car off. You know, that's where it started to get weird, but it felt like the third one and the fourth one tried to ground it, but they also still had their own weird elements. You know, especially like with the fourth one, you have the scene where Vin Diesel literally gets shot in the shoulder and he looks like he just got stung by a bee. Like, he's just like, that wasn't nice. This has like that look of, I don't care, I just got shot, whatever. That was when it started to get silly. But I think the fifth one is when they knew what new direction they wanted to take the franchise in. I think that was when they were like, okay, we're no longer about street racing. We're no longer about, you know, simple heists. Now, if we do a heist, it's going to be something insane. And then, you know, after the fifth one is when it suddenly became like a spy thriller. And that became like the direction that the show took.
It came to the fact too that if they kept doing heists at the same level, they were always going to succeed. It would be no difficulty level, so you had to take it up, because these people were grabbed a safe and used a safe as a weapon while they were driving on the highway. Like, you have to keep one up in yourself, and I think that's the issue that the franchise ended up with. Is that, okay, we did this, we can't do the same thing, because then the fans are going to say, oh, we just settled. They have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger in order for people to go, oh my God, I didn't expect that to happen. They're going for wow moments now, you know what I'm saying, in their action scenes. And from what this Fast 9 looks like, everybody should be dead. Every single person in this movie should just die in this movie, because the stuff they are pulling off in the trailers is unfathomable, but it's something we never seen before. It's no different from stuff we see in Indiana Jones films, because each one of those films try to one up each other when stuff goes on, just like Star Wars, they try to one up each other. It's entertainment. Enjoy it. If you don't, it don't matter. It's still going to make $1 billion whether you enjoy it or not.
All right. And I think other than that, guys, I think that's going to round up all of our live viewer questions today. So thank you very much, guys, for all your participation, your comments, your questions today. A ton of stuff for us to definitely go ahead and get into. But guys, do me a big favor. Let me see here. For Stuart and Indy, if people need to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you at, guys?
You can find me right here at A+ Hero Report, doing news and reviews. You can find me at Nerd Mix Alpha everywhere else, but to be honest with you, you'll find me here most of the time being disappointed by the Flash.
And Stuart, if they need to reach out to you on social media, Stuart, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 on Twitter, right there. And then you can also, of course, find me here because I will be doing my my reviews of Superman and Lois and what's the other show I'm reviewing? Oh yeah, and I'm also reviewing Kamen Rider on the A Plus More Phenomenal page. And of course, very soon I will be reviewing Stargirl once that show premieres, also on this page as well.
And guys, as always, you can always find us here at A Plus Hero Report every Sunday live at noon Central Time for you. We definitely have other shows that we're going to be reviewing for you guys also this week, so definitely go ahead and stay tuned for those. We'll be back with Loki this Wednesday for you guys. Is the Flash and Batwoman new episodes this week, Indy, too?
Batwoman is, Flash is also. They came back last week.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, definitely expect reviews from us later on this week. But guys, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right here at A Plus Opinions. Very active over on social media with our Twitter account, along with our main page, which is our Facebook page, where we post all of our news and articles throughout the week for you guys to certainly check out. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here today. But we certainly will be back next weekend. So in the meantime, do us a big favor as always. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.